Yay, it's going live. Awesome. It should be, well, 30-second delay, but we should see it come up pretty quickly. I'm just checking
Yeah.
on the tech to make sure. Yep, there it is. Yeah. Tiffany, I feel like I've
Yes.
been cutting for about 30 years. In fact, I'm just going to be real with you. I'm still cutting.
Yep.
So while I finish cutting the last two pieces of fabric, because you are overachiever and have already done an entire quilt top with this quilt block behind you, why don't I spotlight you and you can tell folks about what we're doing and kind of walk, like, just show your quilt and I'll be over here and cut.
Well, that works.
All right, let me pin you so everybody sees you nice and big. Talk about the project.
All right, everybody. Well, today we are going to be putting together Lisa the Unicorn. There is the pattern, and if you type in explanation pattern, right?
No, it's in the description box down below the
Oh,
video.
in the description box below this video, you can click on the pattern and get it for yourself so that you could sew this at a later date and just watch this video to see how we put this together. But as
And
Becca said, yes, I am an overachiever and I made a whole entire quilt. As you can see, I made the small.
so what does the small size finish at?
Well, mine finished at 77 by 77, but the book says that the small is supposed to be, they don't have an extra border in it. It is 70 inches. So 70 by 70 is the small. I just added an extra border, which goes with mine. I just love it.
Cool. It looks like it was not doing what I had expected it to do when I had it in spotlight mode. Every time I talked, I was coming back on screen. You have to
That's okay.
do, well, you have to do spotlight to get it to stay, but since there's only two of us, I can't spotlight. There has to be three or more for Zoom to allow me to spotlight. So that is a great segue. Let's talk about why there's only two and not three or more.
2 or 3 or more of what? Us?
Well, yeah. Remember we had talked about Ian maybe joining us today?
Oh, yeah.
That was a last minute addition that we started socializing. We're like, oh, it'd be cool if Ian joins us. That'd be awesome. And up until about 15 minutes ago, Ian was going to join us, but his tummy's not feeling great. And so he's decided to stay off of the he's
Camera.
decided to not be in front of the camera. Let's just put it that way. So he is probably going to join us in the chat, but he will not be joining us on screen. So it's just you and I working on this.
Yep.
I
But
have.
Ian, I know he's listening, so I will say this now. Ian, get better.
Aw, you're so kind. Oh, shoot. What did I do? Oh, no.
Hello, everybody that's here. I'll just read a few names, see who all is here. Got
Yeah.
Teresa Louise here. We got Donna by Handmade by Ying with Donna. We got
Woo-hoo.
Beth, Danelle Stitchery, Nicole, Heather, Susan Year Out, Raina, Glenda, Becky, Katie, Suzanne, Caroline's Mercantile, Pat Boo, all of you, welcome. Thank you guys all for joining us today while we work on this unicorn.
Yeah, I'm happy they're here too. And I'm literally, I am extremely distracted. And I promise I won't be in a moment, but cutting an Elizabeth Hartman pattern, I swear there's like 52 pieces. Pretty dang
Yes,
close. I think I'm only off by two. I think there's actually like 50 pieces
yeah,
that we
there's
gotta
a lot
cut.
of pieces for sure.
There
And
are.
you know,
Yep.
the pattern, if you guys get the pattern, it actually has everything, what hooks to what, AA, BB, AB, AC, you know what I mean? Everything is labeled exactly the way you would mark it with whatever marking. I used clips with little post-it notes, but little arrow post-it notes on my fabric with clips, and Becca's using, what are you using?
These are the new flathead number and letter pins. I have a affiliate link to them in the description box down below the video if you want to check them out. I think this might have come in a Missouri Star Advent box this year. I don't know. I didn't get it. I just thought this was a really cool notion. We'll take a moment to show you some of the tips and tricks that we have. But while we're talking about that, what I'll do is give you my overhead view. Apparently not, because technology just wants to freeze on me. Okay, forget
Yep,
it.
you're froze.
I don't know why it did that. But I was going to give you the overhead view. I'm just going to reset the router so that I can do that, or the switch. But I'll show you what these pins look like and why I love them. And there's a link to them at Fat Quarter Shop. It is an affiliate link in the description box down below this video if you want to pick these up for yourself. Let's see if that will work now. One more button. Doobie doobie doo, I'm sure it will work. Oh, look at that. How about that? All right, so these, I'll bring you in nice and close so you can see them a little bit better. They're a container. It's two-sided. So this side has, by the way, there's a bunch missing because they're on my fabric over here. They are pins on two sides. And what happens is you open it up, and in each one of these areas, you have kind of like little silverware drawer type things for all of your pins. The heads are flat. That doesn't really matter to me, but on each pin, you have an indicator, a letter or a number on both sides of the pin. So if I turn it over, you'll see it both ways. They are fine pins, so they go into the fabric really well. This side has A through N, and when I close it, lock it, flip it over, this side has numbers 1 through 12 and 2 arrow ones. Now, Elizabeth Hartman, her fabric or her pattern actually calls for all the letters of the alphabet and then repeats and goes into double digits. So this is a little difficult to use with her pattern because it doesn't have O through Z. But O through Z, that's 12 characters. And so what I've done in my pattern is where I have O, I scratch that out and I just put the number 1 so that I know whenever the pattern calls for letter O, I'm actually getting number 1. And then when the alphabet repeats, it actually repeats into the block background and then through the main fabric. And so those letters are going to be duplicated over here, but the other version of that letter is the block background or the unicorn fabric, which is either black or white. So I can still keep it pretty well organized. I love these. And I'm going to tell you why I love them. A couple of years ago, Gypsy Quilter came out with some numbered pins, and I actually happen to have them right here. I don't love the alphabeties because I want them to attach to the fabric. So these are the Gypsy Quilter Cool Pins, and it's basically this really cute little heart, which you can make a heart or an eclipse, whatever you want. But there's 4 sections. You can see I've numbered them with my label maker. Inside of each of these sections, you have all of these little pins that have a flathead on it. And one side has a letter, which you can see there when it focuses. And then the other side has a number. And you get all 26 letters of the alphabet in all 4 compartments of this. But my problem with this, while I love it, it becomes difficult because if I pull pieces out of compartment number 1, and let's say I only need A through E, and then for compartment number 2, I need A through L, I don't ever know when I have a full set. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know if what I've used out of 1, I don't know what I've used out of 2. And so when it's time to start putting them back together, the only way I can make sure I have a full set really is to pull out all of the ones in each of the containers and sort everything. And it becomes a sorted nightmare. That's why I kind of like this one, because they have the trays that are notched. So your pins stay in their slot and they stay facing up. So you can, well, actually, no, they don't because those aren't, but they stay in their own little slot. So I can easily see what do I have markers of and what don't I. So apparently we're starting off the live with, what is that thing that they do in the middle of the night? Is that like
the
telemercial?
sales?
Yeah, like the telemercial. But wait, there's more. But I thought that was a really cool motion. So
That works.
yes, Teresa McBrayer is asking Becca, are they sharp? Yes, they are sharp. They're not like the pretty pins from Lori Holt that are thick and hard to get in. These are sharp enough that they're going into the fabric easily.
That's good. Those are neat.
Yep.
I just used my sticky notes because, well, I wrote the measurement so that I could remember how big it is if I made a mishap because of two unicorns behind me. I made miscuts and they
Oh
were
no.
wrong. So it's a good thing that I marked them with the size on each of my little sticky notes.
That's what I did with well, I didn't do it. Mary did it. The pandas and sweaters that I'm doing, which is also an Elizabeth Hartman pattern and is slowly coming along, but it's a massive quilt and it's going to take me a while to do. That one, that's what we did. We got little sandwich baggies and just put Post-it notes down inside with the letter. And every time she cut that fabric, she put it in there. And that's how we're keeping it organized because there's so many pieces.
Yeah, this has so many pieces.
Yep. Yep.
But you can make just a pillow with this, 26 by 26, 70 by 70 for the small quilt. And then it has a large quilt in the pattern too, which is 98 by 98.
Oof. That's a
And
beast.
imagine if I would have done that one and added borders, it would be 100 and something.
You and your king size quilts. I feel like
I love king size quilts. I don't have a king size bed, but I like making king size quilts.
I think you're hilarious. I feel like every time I've talked to you lately, you're like, well, I made another king size quilt.
Yeah.
It didn't start out that way, but it ended up at 300 by 400. I'm having trouble with my picture quality. Javanji says, I changed it to highest quality and I'm going to close down and restart. Okay, cool. I'm sorry that you're having problems with the picture quality, but hopefully it'll get fixed soon.
It's actually better to have the picture quality set to a lower one to speed up with your amount of internet that you have, especially people that are on watching from their cell phones and using cell phone data. It's actually better to have it at a lower quality. It uses less data.
Teresa Foister said, so for that big king size quilt, how many unicorns would there be?
9. There's 4 in the small, 1 obviously in the wall hanging, and 9 for the big one.
I actually think I'm going to do more than one eventually. I'm not going to do more than one today. I am almost finished cutting. I have one more cut to make, and then I will have all the fabric cut out. Yep, I will have all of the fabric cut out for one unicorn, and it's taken me about 2 hours just to do that. So,
yeah. And imagine I cut out 5. I had to cut out a random amount. So I had to do different amount of numbers because I did more than the 4 from the 4 pattern. So I had to add 1 or 3 more of each piece for certain ones.
So what fabric are you going to be working with today, Tiff?
Aged to Perfection, the black version right here. I love this line. I don't know why, but I just love it. And then a batiks that I just put together on my own because I had a bunch of I have a drawer that I have filled with batiks, you know, the little scrap pieces, and I grabbed out as many as I would need for this project. So I kind of put my own little bundle together, honestly, of these blues and pinks and purples.
Very cool. I wasn't sure what fabric I was going to use either. I did pull from my stash. I'll show you guys what I ended up grabbing. I just want to get situated over here a little bit more. 1 second. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay. So the fabric that I'm going to be working with, I pulled from Yardage. Tiffany gave me a heads up before I started cutting. By the way, everything's cut. This is my pile of fabric for one unicorn. That's a lot.
Yeah.
But Tiffany gave me a heads up before I started cutting that the pattern called for lots of like 2.5, like pulling from 2.5-inch strips was wasteful, she felt like, because a lot of those strips were subcut down into 1 3/4, and you could have saved that 3/4 of an inch for something else. And so I kept that in mind when I pulled. Also, I wasn't sure if I was going to do the entire quilt or I was going to do just one block and make it a pillow or a wall hanging. I didn't know what I was going to do. So I didn't want to cut into a jelly roll. So I decided to pull yardage. And I got to tell you, the fabric didn't make itself known to me until last night at about 8 o'clock at night. I was I was talking to Ian, and he was going to do this with us, as I mentioned, and he showed me his fabric pull. Remember that geode print from Tula
Yeah.
Pink?
Yep.
He pulled the really pretty bright colors of that geode print in a rainbow assortment, because Ian with his rainbow.
Yep.
And he was going to use that for the main. And I was like, oh, that'll be fun too. And so I went and started looking at my fabric, and I was inspired by that. And we bought this pattern when we were together. We got it
Yep.
from So Yeah when I visited you in Vegas. And I
Yep.
told you then that I wanted to do one of these with a rainbow mane, because they actually do have that
Yep.
colorway. Um, but I ended up going slightly different. I, after a little bit of back and forth, I ended up going with the fairy bloom. Let me give you the overhead shot again. So this is the fabric that I ended up pulling. This is the metallic fairy dust in like a turquoise color. This is going to be the unicorn's.
Cute.
This is my favorite color. You know me and my blue. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's that Tiffany blue. I love that Tiffany blue. And then I had these on my shelf. These are all from the same line, from the same designer that made that other pretty blue fabric. This is the ombre fairy bloom, I think is what it's called, or bloom, something like that. When this line came out, I didn't buy it. I didn't jump in and buy any of this. However, when I went to Pennsylvania, we went to Lancaster, and I saw this in a quilt shop, and I picked it up and I put it back, and I decided I wasn't going to get it. But then Mary went back to that same quilt shop, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. I actually do want some of that. So I had her get me a yard of each of the colors that they had. And this is the yard that she ended up giving me. So I'm using this fabric. And for the background, I'm leaning in towards that black Starry Night that I'm using on my lot.
Mufasa.
Yep, this is going to be my background. So the entire thing,
Ooh,
and the unicorn is just solid white, just Moda white, just solid white. So
that's
the
what I
entire,
needed. Solid white.
yeah, yep, yeah. Well, I had toyed with the idea of doing something else, but I was like, unicorn's got to be white. Like,
Yeah.
I can't make it brown. So it's this is what I'm going to be working with, and it actually wasn't hard to cut into this because I only needed like 4 inch, 2.5 inches, actually. I think it was like a 2 inch strip I cut off of each one, which gave me enough room to square up, size down, and starch. So
Yeah.
still have almost a yard. I do have one more tip that I'm going to share with you, actually two more, and then we'll get into the project. So Tiffany spent a lot of time kind of working through the pattern. She wanted to make sure she can make one block, and that one block, like
Is
bunnies,
kissing me in
multiplied.
the head times 3 more.
I feel like it's like bunnies, it just multiplied. Also, just okay, we're not going to say that. So anyway, she wanted to make sure she was well prepared for this, because her in patterns. She likes to wing it. She likes to figure everything out on her own, and reading the pattern can be a little overwhelming. So she wanted to make sure she had it down. So she did that. She did the homework beforehand. Ian took a look at the pattern, and each one of us came to this pattern with a different approach, which I think was really cool. You practiced and studied so that when you're here, you're going to be able to whip through it really easily. Ian took a look at it and was overwhelmed by the cutting and said, I'm not cutting that fabric. So he went into Cricut Design Studio and laid out templates for the Cricut so that he can just take a mat, put his fabric on it, put it into the Cricut, and the Cricut's going to do all his cutting for him.
That's awesome.
I know, right? Like he's probably going to have it cut in like 15 minutes. But
Yeah.
and then the tip that I have is the unicorn horn. I was telling Tiffany about this before. Tiffany, you want to talk to us about how the pattern tells you to do that unicorn horn?
The unicorn horn has a template that they have you cut out. It's on a piece of paper. Obviously, I cut it out. And then it has you piece the one side to it, but you have to have it so in a certain position, because if you don't have it in that certain position, it sits wrong. And then you have to put the other side on it. And the other side has to sit in a certain position or else it's not going to go right. And then you press it and then it, you have to trim it down to the size that the pattern says. Well, that is kind of frustrating because that's a lot of, making sure that everything is in the right position according to what the book showed you for it to even come out the size it's supposed to, so that you don't lose your point on your unicorn horn. So that's frustrating. What'd you fix it with?
I said, screw that. So with the pattern, it tells you how to take that template and then sew on these other two pieces. And then it's just this jumbled mess. And then you square it up to be this squared size. And I was like, why? So I said, to hell with that. And I made an FPP template.
Cheater. Cheater.
Hey, whatever. This made more sense to me. So I pulled up EQ8 and I was like, okay, if I know the block is going to square to this size, then I know that's my canvas size. And then I looked at the template and I kind of measured how wide that base was and about how far up it seemed to go. I totally winged it. I'm going to hope that this works. It might not. We may have to do this a couple more times. But I think I got it pretty dang close. So I just drew it in EQ8 and it's just going to be 2 seams on a FPP block. That's how I'm going to do it. It just made more sense in my brain to use FPP for that. I definitely still will have the point, and I think it's going to look pretty dang identical to yours. So I'll be interested to see how our horns look when they're all done. If I need to tweak it, I can. I have EQ8 open right here. I can adjust the measurements and redo it. Once I have that done, though, I'm going to take that PDF and I'm going to put it on my free downloads page on my website. This is not giving away her pattern. It's just giving you an alternate way to make that horn a little bit easier. So if you want to use that template and buy her pattern, you can make the unicorn without dealing with that other thing that she's doing.
Yeah. The way I have to do it.
Yep.
Because I don't have a printer and you can't send it to me because there's no way for me to print it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I could print it out for you and hand it to you in like 5 weeks.
Yeah. I'll be there.
I'll be done by then.
But by then I will be done making unicorns and on to the next project that I will be an overachiever on.
Right? Like Kevin the Quilter is here. He said, hey, I love him. He's great.
Hey, Kevin.
I will say one last thing before we dive in. I think it's interesting. I don't think I saw your unicorns that you have hanging up behind you until just now. And it's funny that we both chose a black background.
Yeah. Well, I thought the unicorn stands out better at night.
Yeah, like I was like, well, I don't want to put it on white because I want the unicorn to be white. And if I'm going to do I'm going to have these soft pastel colors.
Multicolored. If you're going to do more than one block, it actually has a picture of multicolored backgrounds. And I don't like that. I don't think it looks uniform, no. And I like a uniform looking quilt. So yeah, they are prancing around at night.
Prancing unicorns.
Yes.
All right. So I'm going to open my pattern up. I'm going to hide the cutting instructions, but I do want to show you what Tiffany was talking about when she said that the pattern gives you a layout. This is what she's talking about. You want to talk through what you were explaining about how it's laid out?
The way it's laid out is actually easier to go by that picture Becca's holding right there. It's actually easier to go by that picture and lay your block in front of you if you have space, obviously, on a table or something that you can lay it out. And then sew like A to WW. Then you're going to hook, your K and X and your J to the A and W. And you know what I mean? You go in that order because it's actually split into 2 panels. If you look where it lands at E at the bottom and it has that VV above it and the B and the F, all the unicorn's body to the side, that's one solid piece. And then from D down to E over to the unicorn head, that's a second piece. So it's actually better to build it out from just laying in front of you than it is to go by all the little parts and pieces and the rest of the pattern. It just makes more sense because it's literally labeled right there in front of you, angles and all.
Yep. And the one thing that I did learn from the Pandas and Sweaters quilt that I am actively still working on, I did not forget about it, is you're going to build from the center out. So I'm going to find the smallest piece and almost like a log cabin, I'm just going to start working from there. So when I start, I'm going to start by building out the eye and starting to kind of build
That's
this.
how I do it.
Yep. So we're probably going to do it at the same time, right?
Yep.
The same way.
Yep.
So I am a very visual learner, and this is now my second pattern from Elizabeth Hartman that I've worked on, and I appreciate that it is a booklet full of information, but instead of making you read everything, she's giving you lots of visual diagrams and photographs, so you almost don't even need to read. You just follow the pictures, and that's genius.
Yep.
She's got to do something to make up for all the cutting she makes you do.
Yeah, because there's a lot of cutting. There's so many pieces per block.
Yep. Katie's Vaught says that horn may actually be an FPP pattern I can wrap my head around.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's easy peasy. I think that's going to be the easiest part. All right, Tiff, let's get started. I'm going to move my pattern up here so I can see my layout. I'm going to get my coffee, which is only half drink. FYI, I might be hitting the coffee a bit. It's earlier for you, and I'm the one over here like, I still need the coffee.
Yeah, I don't need coffee. I'm just hyper.
The first time I met you, we met in person. That was so funny to me because I was quiet and you were
Yeah. I'm hyper, and then you get my one hyper stage for like the moment, and then after that you get my normal calm contentness, which is what you've had since.
Hey, Bobby is asking, is it possible to change the directions of each unicorn so they face differently? What do you think?
Yeah, if you just build it backwards and attach the pieces backwards. So just flop it over the opposite way and put all your pieces together the opposite direction. So if your I has your C hooked to it going at this angle, instead you're going to go this opposite angle and put it on your far right side instead of your left side.
And one of the ways you can do that to make it easier is if you have a cell phone, you could take a picture of it and in some
And then
photo
flip it.
where,
Yep.
yep, you just do flip, do a mirror image of it, right? Take a mirror image photo of it, because what she's actually done is given you the instructions to print in the cutting instructions. You're printing out rectangles and squares. You're not printing or cutting rectangles and squares with the exception of the horn, right? So you're going to do this a little bit differently. All those angles, you're just going to put them on mirror image. The horn, though, and I can do this when I put the PDF out there. I can give you a right facing and a left facing horn, so that if you want to make one going left and right, you can absolutely do that.
Or you can just hope that the printer prints out a dark line and you can just print it the opposite way on the same piece of paper.
That too.
Upside down, just instead of piecing it on the side that you normally piece for paper piecing, stitching on the line, turn it upside down and hope you can see the line. It makes it kind of hard because we're using black fabric, but
that would work too. All right, I'm gonna grab my eyepiece, and so that's my WW, which is number 9, and my A, and we're gonna get started by building out the eye. And as I pull my pins out, this one I need to keep in here though, I will just put them in a little pile and I'll put them away later. I got to tell you, I'm cheating a little bit here. So Donna from Handmade by Ying talks about how whenever she does a legit kit or builds out an animal, she loves to use this fabric for the eyes. Focus. Focus. Anyway, she likes to use this fabric for the eyes because it gives a little sparkle in the pupil.
Yep.
Come on.
It's not going to focus. Back it up. Back it up. Then bring it forward. There. Yep. It's focusing.
There we go. Whatever. You get the idea. So that's what I'm using for the oh, I turned off autofocus, I think. That's why. Anyway, that's what I'm using for the eyes. So I feel like I'm cheating from Donna a little bit here.
And pressing, I actually don't know because I didn't really read the pattern because I hate to read. I don't think it says to press any specific way because I pressed everything however I wanted and it worked out perfect. There's only a couple things to match up when you put the pieces together, you know?
Yes, I agree. And oh, it's behind my pattern. I was like, wait a minute, where is all of my pressing utensils and things? Have my little tray that I got from Matt, Fallon's husband, and I couldn't find it. It always keeps my Acorn Easy press pen and my seam ripper and some pins and some clips. And it's right there, but it was hidden by the pattern. Couldn't find it. All right. I'm making my first stitch. I got to remember to do this the right way. We want A to the right of WW. So let's make
It
sure.
really doesn't matter which way you put those two little together until you go to put the other pieces on it.
That's right, because this is not directional fabric.
Nope.
How are you going to press for this? Are you just going to press under the black for the eye?
Yeah. I just press to the black side. And then when I put J onto the A and WW, I'm going to press that towards the J because it's got no extra seam. So it's not going to be in the way. It doesn't really matter behind the white because as you can tell, even once it's on batting, you're still going to see the seams no matter which way you press it because the unicorn is white. So you can press them open if you want, but that's on you.
I think that, I mean, these aren't overly tiny pieces. This is the smallest we're going to deal with. And it's going to go on to another big piece. So I'm just going to go ahead and press to the one side. It's easier and it's less finicky. But J is going to go on the bottom of that eye unit. So now we have to start paying attention to where we're putting our fabric.
So it will look like this.
I am going to press.
I got to tell you with the X and K one, because they're two different sizes, you need to pay attention to where the wider part of it is going to be because it's going to be a square when you get to that one.
Okay.
It's not a square. One's a bigger square than the other, and it sits a certain direction. That's one of the ones I sewed together wrong when I did it.
What do you think, Tiffany? Do you think we'll get this entire block built out today?
Yeah, they go pretty quick, actually.
They do. It's the cutting that takes a while.
Everything's pre-cut out. The sewing itself goes together pretty quick.
Yep, I agree.
So now I'm going to do the K and X combo.
So I've got my AWWJ and I'm going to do the K and X combo too. So let me get my kit. Show us how you did it because this looks like a weird angle.
Yeah, so it's obviously I'm backwards on the screen for you, but your wider part at the top, that's where you're going to lay the smaller one on there because see how it's smaller and then go to this part because the bottom corner that sits next to on K that sits next to J or not J next to W right here on the pattern that sits next to W right here is smaller. Where am I at? Right there. You see that's a smaller end, so you want to make sure that your angle goes to the smaller end from the bigger end.
Okay. I'm probably gonna have I'm tangible. I need to see that again. Hold on. All right, so let me
like a stitch and flip. Pretty much.
Stitch and flip, but just laying your fabric out the right way.
Yep.
So I've got my K. Walk me through this, Tiff. I've got my K and my X fabric. This is K, this is X. Bring you into frame a little bit. K is bigger than X.
Yep. So it'll be like this. Your top is bigger and your bottom is a smaller point. So you want to make sure that your background goes towards the bigger side and not the opposite way. So you want that on if you're looking at the piece, you want it on your left.
So it's a stitch and flip. You're going to line up the short edges And the top edge is only going to
Yeah.
have, it's going to come from the corner and you're going to have an overhang and you're going to
Yep.
start stitching from this corner all the way down to
Yep.
here and then flip over.
Yep.
Okay.
And then cut away your back.
Are you doing an extra line to save that half square triangle unit?
I think I just threw all my scraps in one bin. So I didn't pre-sew anything because I was kind of like, working through it real quick to see how it goes. So I didn't sew any extra stuff. I
I
have a
feel like
bin filled with scraps.
with the scrap half square triangle units, I don't want them to be messy. So if I'm going to save it, I will take that extra minute to just do another line. The problem is, where did my ruler go? Oh, right here. The problem is if I do that and there's 100, then I'm adding a lot of time to the project to do that. Looks like Mom and Pop is in the chat. Hello, Laura Lynn.
Hello, everybody joining. Hi, Laura Lynn.
June Hansen is here. Donna Hinch says, I think the pattern should be FPP for old people like me.
Yeah, it probably would have been nicer, honestly, as a foundation paper piece pattern.
Maybe, but I think FPP alienates a lot of people too, though. Right? Because I think a lot of people are
Yeah,
scared of it.
they should have made it a double where you could do either foundation or not.
Yeah,
And then
I could see that.
All right. Yours ready? The next one we're going to build is the
Yep.
O, H, H, and L.
Okay. Got it. So we're doing
Which
the
is
piece
the
that's going to go over
nose.
the muzzle.
Yeah.
So O for me is actually fabric number 1. I have it right here. HH is actually H, which is part of my back. No, that's the nose. Okay. So here's where I'm going to deviate from the pattern a little bit. HH in here is actually the same fabric as the horn, but because my horn is blue, I don't want a blue nose. So I cut out an extra little black for the nostril. I want my unicorn to have a black nostril. So I do have to, that's this one. But I have to fix the size because it should take a 1/4 inch off of this piece. And then the L is okay. All right, go ahead, piece it. I'll catch up in just a second.
That's fine. I'm almost done.
I feel like I straggle behind with everybody I sew with.
Oh, it's okay.
All right.
Everybody sews at their own speed. Everybody has their own thing.
I just get really caught up in talking and trying to explain stuff instead of just doing it.
Yeah.
Right. And then I also have realized that when I do so, even though I'm on the Juki, my pedal is never all the way down at the ground like yours is.
Yeah, I kind of sew with it really quickly.
I mean, it does, it's unthreaded. I think it does go fast. I do run it faster than I would have on the Baby Lock, but I don't think I go all the way up. I don't think I make it go all, it's probably running like 1250, not 1500 stitches per minute.
Yeah.
Are you just pressing these underneath the black?
Under the HH, yes.
Or the nostril, the nose.
Yes, under the nose.
There you go.
And then we hook that unit to the K and X unit on the bottom of it, making sure that that wider section is at the top.
Yep. I can go to the overheads and show you what she's talking about. Mennonite Farmhouse says, I still want a Baby Lock. So she's trying to say, well, this is upside down for you. This is the top of the block and you have your little overhang. This is what you're calling the top, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why does yours doesn't look like it has that 1/4 inch at the bottom? See, mine, the point comes out right here once the pieces are hooked together. And the
Well,
top
mine
is still
didn't.
wide.
Mine did not.
Yeah, mine had a 1/4 inch hangover at the bottom.
Well, you know what? It's going to be okay. So I'm looking at that. I'm going to leave it the way it is. By looking at the map, let me show you. All that means is my muzzle. Turn it around. That corner where that muzzle kind of comes down, it's still the same angle. It's just going to start a little bit further down. So this line is just going to be just a little bit steeper on mine than it is on yours. And I think it's going to be okay. I'm not going to
That's
worry about
fine.
trying to fix it. But it was probably a cutting error on my part since I was trying to do everything, this morning.
Yes. Yep.
All right.
It's fine.
So the nostril goes over here.
Yep.
As I start to get through this and we get a little bit further, if I find that I don't like the way the nozzle looks, I will, or the nose, is that what they call it? The nozzle? I don't know.
I have
Like,
no idea. It's a unicorn and it's magical. So does it really matter?
it doesn't matter. Valerie says, Becca, I make too many errors when I try to keep up with other people, so it's no fun for me then. I like to go slow and be careful. Yeah, absolutely. Go at your own pace. And if I told Tiffany I needed to slow down and to wait for me, she would. In fact, I think she kind of is.
Yep, I'm waiting for you.
All right, I've got my bottom hooked onto the nose. Let me guess, are we going to build out N and P now?
No, we're going to put I onto the I piece onto the J and whatever.
Okay, got it.
The J, W, W, and A piece. I goes to, if you're facing it, it goes to the left.
Yep. Now, wait a minute. I apparently made some cutting mistakes. Hold up, because this piece is bigger than the other piece. They should match up the same size.
Yes, they are the same
Yep, yep.
size.
That's on me. I cut it at like a 1/4
Well,
inch.
it's okay.
Fixed it.
And I just press it towards the white because there's no extra seam that way.
Let me just.
And I'm actually finger pressing the whole time. And you know what? I did that with my big unicorn behind me and all 4 of them. And I didn't have a problem. I pressed the whole block when I was finished. Except for the big sections like the unicorn horn and the strip piecing of the main.
Muzzle. Teresa McBrayer said it's the muzzle. Thank you.
Muzzle. Yep.
I knew it had a name. All right. So now I've got that built out. I am going to be meticulous about using this acorn pen and my clapper because one of the secrets to this with all the different seams to getting it to lay flat is going to be making sure that those seams are as flat as possible. But there's not a lot of bulk either though.
No.
All right.
M and Q.
M and Q. All right, so M.
Now make sure you look at your chart to look at the angle when you put Q on top of M. Make sure that you're sewing from the top left into the middle of the right. So when it's together, you're sewing from here into the middle, from the corner into the middle, so that you have that right angle.
Okay. So what she's talking about, I will show you here.
Another stitch and flip is what I'm talking about.
It's another stitch and flip. Just make sure you have it on the right side. So zooming you out a little bit, this is my background, or this is the unicorn piece. And for me, this is facing me, so it's upside down for you. My stitch and flip is going to be over here. So for you, it would be like, well, I think like that. Something like
All
that.
I know is it looks like this.
Yes, that. And if you don't have directional fabric, actually, you could do it either way. It doesn't matter which side it's on. Um, ours aren't directional, so it wouldn't matter as long as when you assemble it to the next piece in the unicorn, you have it laid out the right way.
Yep.
Another extra stitch and flip to save that half square triangle unit. Teresa said, we had horses for over 30 years. So of course she was the right one to explain what that was really called. Because
Yes.
all a horse is a magical horse with a horn.
Yes, that's all the unicorn is for sure. So once that unit is made, we're actually going to hook it to the bottom of the, I call this the eyeball unit because it has the eye in it.
Okay.
We're going to hook it to the bottom like this. So
Righty.
all the white touches the white. If you have the black touching, you're doing it wrong.
You have the black touching, you're doing it wrong.
Yep.
That's the eye unit up here. And we want to make sure at this point, cool, that's what we're doing. Yep, okay, cool. Tell you one thing, doing these little Elizabeth Hartman patterns will really show you if your 1/4 inch is true or not. Because once you start getting to the point where you're joining up fabrics like this, you're going to find out real quick if you're sewing with a 1/4 inch that's too big or too small.
Yep, for sure.
So Tiffany, are you getting excited to fly out here?
The flying part, no. Coming to see you, yes.
I'm really excited for you to come visit. A couple people did ask in the chat if Mary got off to South Carolina. Okay, she did. She is in South Carolina now, and she's doing all the things today and tomorrow to sign to close on her home, and she'll be officially moving into her new place tomorrow.
All right. Once those are done, are you done? Is it ready?
Mm-hmm.
The big,
Yep.
huge unit. We're going to hook T, which is your background, a background fabric, T, to the bottom of that.
Perfect. I gotta say, I like this sewing method where you just tell me what to pick up and sew. This is great. Can we do this more often?
Yes. Is where's my P?
Janice says, your quilt is stunning, Tiffany.
Thank you. I had fun making it. And obviously I made it off camera, and no, I did not film anything because I knew I'd be doing this with Becca and I wanted to save everything for me and Becca.
Oh, I appreciate that. Although you could always go back and edit the footage if you'd like. I'll send you the file and you can edit it down just to be like this, now this, now this.
Nope. Nope.
All right, I got my eye on you.
Yeah. Okay. Just set that down now next to your K and everything, because we're going to build what goes under the nostril now, which is the N and 2 P's.
2 peas in a pod. I'll be here all week.
Yep. All right. And you're on the bottom. It doesn't really matter which is the bottom or the top, as long as your angles are correct. So I just placed both of my P on the bottom. I placed my P on the bottom. No, Place the P on the bottom and sew from corner to corner, stitch and flipping this direction.
Wait a minute, hold on.
So it points out.
Oh, that's just your Post-it note. I saw the red and I got confused.
Yeah, no, it's just a Post-it note.
Yep, got it. You're putting your stitch and flips on the long edge, not the short edge.
The long edge, yes, across the bottom. And they always go from the outer top points in towards the middle.
Yep.
On both of them.
Okay. Tiff is a sew demon, Carol said.
Yeah, I don't know. I just have a lead foot, but not in the car anymore. I used to back in the day when I used to race sand rails and stuff, but now I just, slow. But on my sewing machine, it makes it.
Oh, you said slow, and I forgot you were talking about driving for a minute. I was like, there is nothing about that pedal with you that is slow. And then I was like, oh, wait.
Regular driving is.
Don't
All
worry,
right,
I'll
so
fix
we're
that
going to
for
now
you.
take that unit after Becca presses hers. I'll just sew mine, but we're going to take that unit and put it on the bottom and make sure that your P is facing down. So you want them down. You want the white touching the white.
Yeah. So your unit goes like this. Perfect. Wait a minute. I think I made a boo-boo. Hold up. Because
Hold up, wait a minute. What did Becca do wrong?
did I do it wrong? Oh, maybe
The
I
unit will
did
look
do
like
it
this,
wrong.
minus the Post-it notes.
Oh, I was holding it up to the wrong side. Never mind. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. There we go. Perfect. Okay.
And then once that is done, we're going to take the U piece. So while you're pressing it, you can hunt your U, which is background, down because that's going to go directly underneath.
Okay. U for me translated to number 7.
Good thing you know your alphabet. I would have never known from O on. I'd been like,
No.
what number is that?
I wrote it in the pattern. Don't get it
Oh,
twisted.
okay. I would have really been like,
No,
I
I
was
wrote
counting
it
on my
down.
fingers. A, B, C, D, go to O. 12, 13, 14. I would have been like, what the heck?
Nope, I took a pencil and just wrote it right next to the letter because I knew I was gonna not be able to remember. I was like, no, no, we're good. Hold on. I just got to line up this raw edge. It was being a little finicky and didn't want to play nicely. Perfect. I can start to see the stars coming out in the background, and I love the way it looks. I sound a little bit like Target Lady from SNL there. Okay. What next, teacher?
Then once those 2 units are done, they should be exactly the same size because they get sewn together.
Oh, moment of truth. I'm a little bit off.
Stretch it.
Oh, I
Put the
will.
bigger piece on the bottom.
I will. I will. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. I think after I sew these together, I'm going to look at the pattern to see what this should square up to and just kind of get it nice and tidy so it's the right size all the way around. Ian's sharing messages from the chat that are worth us recognizing and acknowledging. So I'll just tell you, Tracy H said, it's so cold outside you could fart snowflakes.
I bet. That's got to be really cold. And just know, I'm going to show you this. When you get to that point where you're at the bottom of the nose, those points match up.
Well,
That's one of the ones that matches. This bottom piece should be aligned with that one. You see that?
wish you would have told me that 30
I just
seconds ago.
realized that when I was done sewing, I was like, oh yeah, the points are supposed to match. I should have said that out loud. But
Guess
yeah,
what point didn't match? Mine.
that point.
Not even close.
Yeah. So like I said, there's only a couple of points that match. Like Q and S are going to match up when they go together. These two match up. And I'm trying to think of the other ones. X and Y are going to match up. And B and F are going to, and that's it. R and E are going to sit opposite of each other, but they'll match up also, sort of.
All right, so I'm going to pin that and clip. Jean says, it's a magic muzzle. There we go. Get that point.
Does it match now?
Well, it's pinned where it's supposed to be. We will see if it continues to play nicely. So let me clip this so that everything is lined up the way it's supposed to be.
Talking doors, yes, it is the goal to complete the entire unicorn today. It's only one piece, so that's all we're making.
Yeah.
One unicorn, block. One singular Lisa.
We're not making Lisas, we're making Lisa.
Actually, mine is Lisa and friends because, you know, she has friends hanging out with her behind me.
So what are you going to do with the block that you make today?
It's going to be a wall hanging for me. I need some magical unicorn in my life, you know.
I believe it.
How'd it look? Did it come out?
Yeah. Good enough for government work.
Good.
I'm going to keep it. I've also noticed sometimes when you have points that need to match up, pressing can sometimes make that point match or not. So like with this one, if I press it one way, the points are perfect. But if I press it the other way, the points are not perfect.
Yep, because it brings the fabric to the opposite side, making the illusion of it being pulled one way or the other.
It's a couple threads off after I put the heat on it, but we're going to leave it. Like literally 2 threads. Can you tell from here that it's off?
No. And I'm galloping. I don't see it. I'm galloping. Get it? Galloping on my unicorn. I don't see the mess up.
You galloped on the unicorn. You didn't see it. We're fine.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Now we're going to take H, KK, and P. KK is your first, well, actually your nose was your first color, but you didn't use color. So KK is your first color part of the hair that comes out the top of the head.
Okay. KK.
And P, and they go on an H. And they both go on the same exact side. And the same way that we piece N, we're going to do that same exact thing, but make sure that you have KK on the correct side first. And then the angles are going to go, I'm trying to hold these, but the angles are going to go from here to here, here to here. So it's like a flying geese, sort of, but not together, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So more stitch and flip. There's a lot of stitch and flipping in this block.
KK is just letter K. Okay. Ah, it's purple for me. Okay. This is where we're going to start having things look a little different. So P is going to be up here, stitch and flip. And then KK will be on the opposite corner, stitch and flip.
Yeah, the reason why I decided to go with the paper one too is because you'll have to remark everything if you went by all the pages, because then you pull all your sticky tabs off of them and you forget what unit is what, and then you have to re-dig through the pile to make sure it looks like the piece before you lay it flat on the thing. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's actually easier to just do it this way.
Make sure, I don't know if you guys have seen this thing that I do. Let me show you really quick. So when I do a stitch and flip, this is how I make sure that my stitch and flip was correct. Once I do my stitching, this works with anytime you're making like a flying geese unit or something. This one I sewed incorrectly just to kind of give you an idea of what happens. I'll rip the seam and fix it. Once I've sewn it, I put my finger in between the two pieces of fabric and I'll push it over. And if I can see the back fabric poke through like this, I know that this triangle hasn't completed that corner. And so as a result, I know that this is wrong because I should see this perfectly complete that corner both from the front and the back. So this other one over here, if I take it and push it over, you can see I'm actually off just a couple threads, but
It's a hair, but
yeah,
leave
that
it.
one I would leave in. And from the back, it's good too. So that's how I sometimes if I want to make sure that my stitch and flips are spot on, that's one of the ways that I can test it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's always a good idea to just judge that it completed that corner before you cut it off and realize it was wrong. Because that's the other thing too. If your stitch and flips are not on, then you're altering the size of the block that it was put on. So when you go to sew it into something else, it might not line up the right way. My machine keeps coming unthreaded.
Yes, guys, I'm using mine have post-it notes on them, my pieces, and I'm keeping the post-it notes on just so that I can remember what part. That way I know what letter is hooking to what side so that I know that that was my O, so that would touch this. That's why I'm keeping my post-it notes on.
Mhm.
I'm just adjusting them as I go. I mean, they're staying, but they're not clipped on anymore. They're just sticky. And they're not leaving any residue on my fabric.
I like using post-it notes on the fabric. It makes sense. And if they don't
Yes.
stick, I've also seen people use masking tape, painter's tape,
Yeah.
cut off a piece, write the letter on it.
Problem with masking tape I find is, say you make something big and it needed you, everything looks nice and square and flat, then you go to rip that tape off and it stretches the fabric because you're holding it, and then you disorient your block because you ripped your tape away. That's the only problem I've found by using painter tape. So if you're trying to keep a perfectly angled block and you don't want any shifting or adjusting of your fabric, stretching it out, and I guess the word is stretching it out, then I would not use it. But for
That's a
anything
good
else,
tip.
just a bunch of square blocks, it works out perfect. But definitely don't use painter's tape if you want something to stay in a perfect shape, because you pressed it and starched it and you did all that work. You're going to have to do it all over again once you rip the painter's tape off. All right, now we're going to hook that unit to Y. Y is background.
Okay.
So it's
Thank
going
you
to
for
go
telling
on,
me.
touching. Y is going to touch the black side, which is your background side. So
Okay.
your little P is going to be on the side that the Y is on.
It is piece number 11. I just got to find it.
Well, you find it then.
I'm going digging for fabric. Wait, is that right? Which one is it that we're doing?
Y. The Y is hooking to the H unit that's got the P and whatever, and it's hooking on the P side.
Oh, here it is.
So
Found it.
It should look like this, minus the Post-it notes. So it's touching the background side, not the side with the part of the hair, the head, the mane, whatever.
So black to black.
Yep, pretty much. We're both using black, so it makes it easier to say black. Mine's not like fully black because it's aged to perfection by Maywood Studios, so it's like aged looking.
Kind of like grunge, right? It's got
Yeah, it's
distressed
kind of like
looks.
grunge, but it's got more of like a cloudy texture instead to it.
I think I would like that better than the grunge. Not a
Well,
huge.
I had bought a bunch of it by the bolt, and now I am dwindling down to barely nothing. I had like a bunch of different colors, and I barely have any left.
Oh no.
All right, that unit now goes on top of the eye. So you take that whole entire piece and you put it on top of there. And remember, you're watching your point. Okay. So make sure you watch your point where it's going to come connect. You're going to have that 1/4 inch right here.
Okay.
Make sure it gets that point.
Randy said that KATM has a new fabric label tape.
Interesting.
I think it's going to be okay. We're going to check. I'm not going to. Oh no. If I have to rip this, you can laugh at me then. But I think we're going to try.
Oh, it lined up. Yay. The last 4 others that I didn't line up and I had to resew them. This one lined up perfectly on the first try. That's because I made 4 more. So obviously I know what I'm doing now. So now your unit should look like this. You pretty much have a head.
Does that look okay to you?
Yep. And now you're going to find your W, which is a big, huge, long piece. It's a long one. And W goes to the nose side of that.
Okay.
So much easier to build this way, right?
Yeah, it is. Just
Because the
follow the
pattern,
diagram.
again, is like all over the place. And you would have to try to find what goes where, unless you're laying it out as you go. But I find this to be a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
And you should be proud of me. I am sewing without a seam guide.
Are you really?
Yeah, my lines are not very straight. Whatever. I'm sewing without it. I'm really trying to keep this 1/4 inch, but it's really hard for me to do.
We have a horse's face. Okay. We're doing W to the right of that, right? We're finishing that block out.
Yes.
Okay. I was too busy galloping with my horse. Look at all these extra pins laying there from the fabrics I've already used.
Yay.
Yay.
Okay, so then your unit should look like this.
It will in just a moment.
And now at this point, I really don't need my sticky notes on it, but I'm just going to leave them there.
Give it a good press. It was snowing a while ago when we started the live stream and it was coming down pretty decently. I was like, this is the first day, by the way, this year that we've had snow. And so I was like, figures, I'm going to get on a live stream with Tiffany and there's snow and the woman hates cold. And I've got to tell her that it's going to snow here. And the first thing that's going to go through her head is it better not snow when I'm there. So
That's exactly what I said out loud though when we started talking. And you said snow. I said, yeah, no.
she's like, no. Next. So anyway, it stopped and it didn't even stick.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah. Don't worry. We'll keep if it snows while you're here, we'll just stay inside and sew.
Yeah, right? Perfect.
It looks like a beautiful horse.
Now put it at your face real quick and make sounds. All right. Now we're going to build
Are,
the
are you calling,
unicorn.
are you telling me I have a horse face?
No, I'm telling you, you're a unicorn. You're magical.
Oh, love you. There's no horn yet, so right now it's just a horse.
Well, we're going to build that section now. Now that this unit is done, we're going to build the unicorn section with the horn and all that.
Okay.
But we're going to start with the hair part first. So we need a TT. We need a titty. We need a titty. And a Z. Titties.
Well, for me,
Okay.
that is number 12 and number 6. It's number 12 from my background, and it is number 6 from my fabric, my hair fabrics. So I get to work with a blue this time.
Now, when you do this, this is the opposite stitch and flip where you have that like binding where it hangs over like an L shape. You're going to lay it in front of you like I have. Obviously, I can't see. You can't see because I'm in a different position. You're going to put it right sides together, and you're going to sew from that top corner that's on the right, from the middle, and down to the bottom corner of the black or background. So it's like a strange shape, and I'm just going to hold it and sew it because it's going under the machine in whatever way.
Okay.
And it's kind of hard to see that bottom one, so line it up on your seam tape and it'll go better.
Okie dokie, artichoke.
And then when it's pressed back, you should have a nice, lovely piece that looks like this.
I don't know why I'm making that noise.
Your new sound every time you complete a piece.
Jeff, the quilting chaplain, says, Becca, just come to Arkansas and take some of ours if you want some. I don't want any of it. You can keep it all. No, thank you.
All right.
All right. Oh.
Now we need QQ and AA. What'd you do?
Oh, I just threw Lisa across the room because she was making me mad.
Oh.
Get out of here, Lisa.
QQ and AA.
Okay, hold on. I need to get reoriented because I had to go chase the unicorn across the room.
That's fine.
All right. We want QQAA.
Yep, and we're going to do that same exact procedure we did with the TTZ unit.
So, A and AA, which is just A, and that's from my background fabric. Okay. QQ sounds like P. All right, same thing.
Yep,
same verse. Thing. Wait a second, hold up.
What?
Oh, good, it is right. I literally was like, is my line going the right way? I'm getting a little giddy.
That's okay. Probably nap time, but
Well, I haven't even had breakfast yet.
Really?
Yeah, I had a cup of coffee that I
haven't had lunch yet because you came on at the time that I would normally be eating lunch.
Do we want to take a break to eat some bacon?
No.
I'll put some bacon in the oven.
We could just keep going.
Okay.
Save all the bacon for when I'm there.
Oh, honey.
And then I will get the whole packet and you can have one piece.
Ian's laughing at Titi. He thinks it's funny.
All right. Then we're going to do, did you get that sewn yet? Oh.
My seam was not right.
Pieces.
Yeah.
I'll just grab the next ones if I could find them. I had it all right here.
Yeah, go for it. Do what you got to do. I think I just discovered a hack.
Hack. What's your hack?
Well, I think this is what that ruler that Sean keeps talking about is probably for. Oh, hallelujah. That's cool. So, you know how when you're doing binding and you do that, you do the L and then you have to find the corner and stitch down?
Yeah.
When I had them laid up, I just took my ruler and put the 1/4 inch line starting at the corner and coming down because it was easier to see on my cutting mat. And then I cut, and then I could use that corner edge of the fabric right there as my 1/4 inch guide. Yeah. And then it came out perfect. And I think that's probably what Sean has been trying to explain because there's some ruler, some ruler that he uses
To
for
cut the 1/4 inch seam away first and
yep.
then
And
sew
then
it
sew.
with a 1/4
Right.
inch seam.
Yep.
Yeah.
But when he was explaining it, for whatever reason, my brain was translating what he was saying as what he was doing is using that ruler to cut the 1/4 inch after you've sewn it. And I was like, but why can't I just use this instead? It's because you're using it before you sew. Okay.
All right. CC and NN.
Haka.
Yep.
I'm just going to come up with just going to
And
come up with
Nana.
Okay, C is block background, this one. So
Yep,
there's
it's a
C.
background and it's a hair piece or main color, whatever.
And NN is actually N from this pile. It is LMN. It's green. I get to work with green this time.
Now
We doing
lay your CC up and down on top of you, right here in front of you. Yep. Okay. And then you're going to take your NN and you're going to put it as a backwards L in front of you so that you know which way you're going to sew. So if it's a backwards L, then it's right. And then you're going to sew from that right top of NN down to the bottom of CC. So from here to there.
I'm trying to see where, oh, I see. Okay. I got it. Okay.
You have to make sure, that's one thing about this is making sure you get your angles correct. So I pre-lay them out so that I know that we're doing the correct angle.
Yes. I just held it up to make sure it matched the pattern. Guess what? It does.
It did.
Oh, M. Smith said, hi, Becca. I tried telling you thank you the other day. I got my goodies. You're welcome. Sometimes, at least on the Friday night lives, maybe not my other ones, but the Friday night lives, sometimes that chat moves so quick, I don't get to see them. But it's moving slow enough that I'm actually keeping up with most of the chat. So I'll read a couple of comments out for you, Tiff.
Okay.
Mama Hardin says, this is our first snow and sleet of the season here in Pilot Mountain, North Carolina, and I'm about a 5-hour drive from you. Awesome. In Quilt Fact says that she's laughing out loud and her grandbabies are looking at her weird. Constance says, I couldn't believe it watching live on Dallas area getting lake effect snow. And also Constance wants to know where are the Skittles?
Where are the Skittles?
That's actually Mary's favorite candy. So we'll just say that she stole them.
Yeah.
All right. What next? What next?
Next is the unicorn horn.
Okay. So
for this one, it requires a little bit of marking, or you can do Becca's method. I'm just going to do the marking it method. I need white pencil. White.
You show your method first. I'm going to pin you and be quiet so that you stay on camera, and then I'll show them how I'm going to do the horn.
We're going to make it to where everybody can see. Hi, close up. Oi. All right. from the top. So if you have this piece facing you, I'm going to do it facing me so that I know I'm doing it correct. From the top, it's 3.5 inches. I'm pretty sure 3.5 inches because I did so many of them. Where'd it go? Yeah, 3.5 and 2.5. So it's 3.5 inches in. You're going to make a mark. And then you're going to go to the bottom corner, your bottom left, and you're going to go 2.5 inches and make a mark. This is where it's so retarded. I don't know why they did it like this. And then you're going to hook. Well, that's not even long enough ruler. I need a longer ruler. Longer ruler. You're going to touch your ruler to one of those marks that you made and to the other tip of the mark that you made. And then you're going to slice the block right there. I'm also going to cut out my unicorn. See, this is where, you know, dumb little template. You line it up on here. Stay right there. And I just use the ruler to cut it because, you know, I find it easier against the paper. You see how retarded this is? Slice it, move it out of the way. Slice and slice so that you have a horn that looks like this. And now we're going to take the bigger chunk that was the bottom, and we're going to attach the horn to that first. But you have to make sure you look at your pattern and make sure you have it up enough. Because if you don't, it's not going to square up properly. So you have to look at the pattern and make sure it's sitting at the correct angle. And then sew the unicorn horn on first. So let me sew this. You're going to show your method after, Miss Becca?
Yep.
Okay.
I was trying to keep quiet, so I muted my microphone because for whatever reason, even though I have you pinned here, when I start talking, it makes me full screen, and I want people to be able to see what you're doing. So I'm going to go back and mute while you finish showing the block.
Okay. Once you have that sewn on, it has you take and line up your ruler with the edge of the unicorn horn. So you're going to take and line it up with that edge to this outer thing, and then you're going to trim that nice and straight so that you have a nice straight line from that corner down. And then you're going to take the other portion of it and see how funky this looks. You're going to actually hook this up down a little like this. So you're going to have like this weird shape down at the bottom. Again, it's so dumb, but I'm going to show you on the figure without showing the thing. See how it sits that funky, whatever, to trim it. It's a funky piece. It has you hooking it together all funky like. So just make sure you're looking at the diagram and hanging things over the proper amount. So I'm going to put it right sides together. I have it hanging over about 3/4 of an inch. Sew this side.
While you're sewing that, I'll jump in here really quick because I did look at the pattern. All of these overhangs that are showing here, that's not gonna matter in a minute because you're gonna square it up and you're gonna lose all that. So either way that you do this, whether you follow Tiffany's method for the horn or mine, you're going to have waste.
The point of the overhangs, though, is to make sure that you get that proper square for the horn so that it sits right. If not, you won't get it because two of my horns didn't come out correctly. So I had to rip them and re-sew them. So once you have that whole entire thing, this is where I now have to turn the iron on because it's now time to press. But once it's pressed, I'm going to be using this square corner right here to make a square or rectangle technically out of this. So I'm going to go turn the iron on, and Becca, you could start yours, I guess, while I'm working on the iron.
All right. So I'll kind of intro what I'm doing. And then Tiffany, once you're got yours pressed and you're ready to square it up, we'll pin you back so
Yep.
that you can finish showing it. And then I'll walk them through what I'm doing over here. So I will pin myself so that you guys can see me big screen. So I didn't want to do all that because it was hurting my brain to think about it. When I look at a pattern, the only thing that I actually read is squaring up sizes or my cutting instructions. And I really like to be able to work from visual pictures when I'm putting my patterns together. If you're going to tell me how to do it in step by steps, and I've got to read, it better be a bulleted list. I do not want to get my steps or my instructions from paragraphs, and I really don't even want to get them from a bulleted list. So I saw that and my head started hurting, and I was like, there's a better way. So I went into EQA and I took the size that the block is going to square it, and I drew that as my canvas. And then I took the unicorn template and kind of measured about how wide it is at the bottom and how it is at the top. And I drew what to me looks like the finished block in EQ8. And I told EQ8 to give me a FPP template for it. And that's what this is. Unfortunately, because the block is so big, it did take 2 sheets of paper. And so when it prints off, there's actually an overhang that you use to like line the papers up. All I wanted to make sure that I had when I did this is that these lines here and the lines at the top all perfectly continued from one page to the other. And yeah, I used my diagonal seam tape to hold it together. Just some washi tape is fine. You don't need anything big. I put some on the back and I put some on here. And so now I can just follow my basic FPP rules, 3 pieces of fabric to make my block. Tiffany, are you ready to go?
Yes, I had to mute myself for a moment.
Okay.
All right. So the next step is to start right here. Okay, so right here at this bottom, you have that square. See how it's funky like that? You're going to start on the one side right here, and you are going to line up the bottom of your unicorn horn with this whole side, and you're going to trim that whole side off. And I know I'm kind of working a little backwards with a right-handed ruler. All right, and then turn it. Now line up the same line, but on the opposite side. Line up this whole bottom right here. Line up this side. Make sure everything is nice and lined up. Cut that skinny strip off. Then just line it up on your mat, because I think it's like, hold on, I got to look at the number real quick. 9.5, 11.5. So we're going to come over 9.5 inches and then 11.5. So 11.5 across the bottom right here. And then 9.5 up. Okay. And it would probably be best to like double and triple check before you cut, because you only get that one to cut it off. And then you'll have your unicorn horn.
Cool.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to give you a crash course in FPP.
That works.
So I'm going to pin myself so that you can see how this works out. So FPP, the whole idea here is that we're going to build our block out on the back side of our paper. We only have 3 pieces of fabric, and I'm going to tell you, you can't see it, but there are numbers on here. Basically, it's like piecing by number. You're going to follow the number and just fill in that section or that wedge with the appropriate fabric. I know on this block that my horn is going to be that really pretty blue I showed you before, and then these 2 pieces are going to be black. I have really large chunks that I'm going to work with, and so that's what we're going to do. If you have a lighting board or something that can illuminate your fabric and your paper from underneath, that does make it easier. But if you are a beginner in the world of FPP, I'm going to teach you just like I am teaching my mom, who, by the way, is venturing into the world of FPP as of last night. I have been telling her for months, Mom, you've got to try FPP. And the reason why I've been telling her that, I'll just give my little spiel here, is because she wants to make things that have really pretty points. And her eyesight is not what it used to be, and she's having problems with her eyes drying out. And so seeing her stitching on the fabric can make things a little bit difficult, and it takes her longer to put things together. So I felt like if I could just convince her to try to do something with FPP, it would make things easier to see, because all she's doing is stitching on the black line, right? So that's it. You're just stitching on the line. The work, the brain power that comes in, and it becomes muscle memory after you've done it enough, is actually just understanding how to get your fabric lined up in the right spots. So that's what I'm going to show you today. So for FPP, you're going to look where your number one fabric is. For me, it's the horn. And for that, I did have, oh, here it is. I've got this really big piece of fabric, way bigger than I need. That's the other tip that I'm giving mom. Always cut grossly big. Don't worry about the waist. As you get more advanced with FPP, you're going to learn how to work with smaller pieces and be more conservative and have less waste. But that is not going to happen on day one, and it's probably not going to happen at the end of month one. Your first few projects, there's going to be a lot of waste. Embrace it. You'll get better as you go. The second rule of FPP is that when we put our fabric on, we're always putting our fabric on the back side of the paper and using the lines from the front as our placing guides. And there's two things that you need to remember. When you put your first piece of fabric on, the wrong side of the fabric goes to the wrong side of the paper. Always start wrong side of fabric to wrong side of the paper. And then after that, you're always doing fabric right sides together. Don't have to worry about anything else after that. To help line things up, I like to take my add a quarter plus ruler and I lay it down on the line going between number one and number two. And for me, that's going to be over here. And then I just lift the paper up and I'll give it a little creasy poo. Creasy poo. And then I'm going to fold that over. Tiffany, I muted you, by the way. So when you come back, you'll just have to reach across the table and unmute just so the camera stays over here. We've got that folded. And then I'm going to take my fabric, wrong side of the fabric to the wrong side of the template. And you can use, this is where your light box will come in a little bit handy if you have one. If you don't worry about it. What I like to do is make sure that I've got an overhang of about 1/4 inch past that fold. And then I'm going to open it up and I'm going to just kind of peek under the other side and make sure that that whole piece of fabric that I have here is covering my whole shape plus at least 1/4 inch all the way around. And it is. So because of that, I don't need to worry about all of this excess. I'm just going to cut that off and I'll set it over there. I don't need it right now. I do want to make sure that my fabric stays in that spot because it's lined up. And I can do that by putting a pin through this. I could do that by putting just a pop of glue on the back side of the paper, and that'll touch to the back side of the fabric. All of those are appropriate, but I like to wing it, so I just hold it. My next step is to grab the fabric that's going to go under section 2, and that's going to be this beautiful black. And I do have quite a bit of it all with the fabric. And we're going to get it lined up so that it covers this whole wedge, this whole section. So to do that, I'm going to set this out of the way. I'm going to lay down my black fabric. And this is the other trick that I give to my mom when I'm trying to teach her how to do this. We're going to bring our paper over. We're going to put that, we're going to fold it back where it was, get it lined up on our fabric. And then I'm going to find a place where I can set this. This becomes a little bit like a puzzle. Tiffany loves puzzles. We're going to find a place where we can set this so that when my fabric is folded over, I can see an overhang of both fabrics. This is going to become my seam allowance. And the fabric that is underneath this flap, it's fully covered. So if my fabric was, let me show you, like this, and that flap, when it's folded over, does not have fabric underneath that full shape that I'm trying to color in, that's not going to work. So we're going to pick it up and move it over, and we're going to put it right there. Once I can be sure that my folded over piece has enough fabric to cover that whole wedge, I'm going to open it back up. take it to my machine and stitch right on this line between 1 and 2. That's all I'm stitching with a stitch length of about 1.2 or 1.4. That's going to perforate the paper and make it easier to pull away once you're done. So I'm just going to navigate this big old piece over to my machine. I'm going to open up the paper. I'm going to get my needle right at the start of that line, turn my stitch length down, and I'm going to go all the way down. I do like to back stitch at the start and stop of those though, so when I pull out the paper, it doesn't put too much stress on it. Once that's done, I'll bring it back over to my cutting mat. I'm going to fold the paper over and I'm going to clean up that seam allowance. And that's where my add a quarter plus ruler comes in. But let me tell you this is another tip for you. Maybe if you don't like rotary cutters, you don't have to clean this up with the rotary cutter if you're not confident with them. My mom's a little wobbly with rotary cutters because her vision is getting a little bad. So you could use scissors here. It doesn't have to be a perfect 1/4 of an inch either. Nobody's going to be looking at your seam allowance when this is all done. I want to tell you the tip though, and this is a shout out to Fallon, who's in the chat right now, or at least she was. My mom has this and she loves the ledge on it, but it makes me really nervous to see her cut with this, and it makes her really nervous to cut with it. So let me show you what she's actually using to clean up her edges. And you guys, this is genius. She is taking Fallon's ruler. She has these on her website. They come in 12.5, I think, and 24. I've got the smaller one. And she lays it down here. You can see through that clear green plastic, the fabric. You just want to make sure that your piece, your ruler is enough over so that you have at least a 1/4 of an inch. And then when you lay it on top of the fabric and the paper, you apply pressure to the wooden handle. This isn't going anywhere. Fallon's demonstrated this a million times. When she goes and cuts through, this isn't budging and her hand is up away from the plastic. And this is much thicker than this ruler. So the likelihood of her rotary cutter jumping over the ruler and getting her hand or chopping off a finger, much less. So the trim lock rulers and the slide lock, I think that's what this one is. Yeah, slide Quilter Sidekick. That's right. This one is actually her go-to. Fallon was kind enough to send me a bunch of her rulers. We have been using them, but this is now my mom's go-to ruler. So if you're having issues with vision or you're a little wobbly with your rotary cutter, highly recommend that tool. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to clean this up all the way through. That's cut off. I'll throw this away. And now I'm going to flip this over. We're going to play with the fabric side. It looks like a lot because the pieces are big, but it's not that complicated. And I'm just going to pull the fabric over, hold it where it wants to go. And I'm going to press that down with my finger. Then I can take it over to a pressing surface and put some heat on it if I want to get it to lay really flat, which is not a bad idea. If you want that to be super crisp, you've seen me use the Acorn Easy Press Pen. You can come in with this. All it is a little marker that has some starch in it, and it just helps you get a better crisp iron. Speaking of iron, that's not heated up, but we're going to pretend it is, because there's still got to be some heat on it, right? And then once that's done, when we flip it over, we can see from this side of the paper that that section is all covered with fabric. All of this extra isn't needed, and it's just making it a little unruly for me to keep up with. So I'm going to rough cut. You could use scissors, you can use your rotary cutter, whatever works. I'm going to rough cut the shape of my template out of that fabric. Let me finish pressing now that the iron is heated up a little bit more. And then the next step is to do what we just did with the line between 1 and 2, the line between 2 and 3. So I'm going to get my ruler. I'm going to crease my paper all the way down, fold it Make sure I've got that good overhang here. Grab a grossly oversized piece of fabric, lay it so that it is right side up, bring in my template with the folded fabric and puzzle it out. Find a way to lay the fabric so that the folded piece has fabric under the entire section, and I have enough overhang that when I clean this up, I'm going to have a nice seam allowance. This looks good to me. I'm going to actually just take a moment to cut this off, because if I cut here, I know that this is still enough fabric. Just cut all the way through. Now I'll take this over to my sewing machine. I'll stitch on that line. We're almost done. Same stitch length. Back stitch at the start and end. You're always sewing from the paper side so you can see your lines. And then once that's done, I'm going to fold it back over, clean up my seam allowance. This one's handier. I'm going to use Fallon Slide Lock or Quilter Sidekick or whatever. I always get the names mixed up. My blade needs to be changed. Don't judge me. Now I'm going to open this up from the fabric side so we can press. We're always pressing from the fabric side. We're always cutting and sewing from the paper side. I'm going to give this a good press along that fold. And then the only thing I have left to do is to square up the block. And then I should have a unit that, God, I hope, looks just like Tiffany's unicorn and works in our project. This is honestly my first attempt at drawing this unicorn, so I would totally expect that maybe I might need to make some tweaks, but secretly I'm hoping that I got it right the first time out of the gate. We're about to find out. Moment of truth. All right, that's ironed. And now I'm going to ask Tiffany if she wants to unmute, because I don't need to be spotlighted anymore. I've shown you how to do this. All I'm going to do, I actually forgot to tell you this. All I'm going to do is around this template, there's a dotted line. You'll see two lines around this. There's a solid line and a dotted line. When I clean this block up, I'm going to line up a straight edge on that dotted line, the outer line all the way around. And that's what I'm going to cut. That's what's going to square my block up to be the size Tiffany's is. Okay, I think I'm done explaining. That took like 30 minutes.
Good job.
You could have made a pack of bacon.
I could have pieced the rest of this black.
You could have. No, the slide lock does not have measurements on it, but I feel like I heard Fallon mention somewhere that some of their rulers are starting to get some markings on it. She actually just came out with another version of this that's used for straight line quilting. So same thing, you put it on the fabric, hold it down, and you push your quilt through with this, and you can use it to measure your lines when you're quilting on your domestic machine. Fallon, if you're in the chat, fix anything I said incorrectly.
Yeah.
Best person to tell you about Fallon's product is Fallon.
Yep. Or just type in explanation friends and you'll get her thing, or explanation Fallon gets her link to her channel.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I've got 2 more seams to clean up. And then moment of truth, we'll have to see how our unicorn horns look next to each other.
It looks about the same.
It does, but it also feel like the other moment of truth, I think, is going to be when we sew it into the actual block.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I can tell you right now, just from the looks of things, the bottom of the unicorn horn at the corner, it's about 3/4 of an inch to the point. So if you have that, then it should be good.
It's about a 1/2 inch. I think I made it a 1/2 inch.
That's fine. It should sit just fine. I don't think it really matters how high it sits, as long as it's sitting over enough this way for the hair to, sit next to it.
Well, when we sew it into the block, we'll find out if my method worked or if I need to tweak it.
I'm pretty sure it'd be fine.
All right, we ready?
Yep. So now you're going to take all those pieces that we just made, your unicorn horn, your CC and NN unit, your AA and QQ unit, and your TT and Z unit. And we're going to lay it out like this. You're going to be sewing your AA and Q to the horn first. Make sure that your horn is facing horn up and the big part of the horn is at the bottom. You're going to sew those right sides together so the AA unit with the QQ goes on the bottom. Once that's on, then you'll hook the other side, kind of like log cabin-y style, I guess. That's how this whole unit goes together. Oh, hey, Tiffy, that would have been smart if you cut away that 1/4 inch seam. I'm a dummy. I'm a dummy.
I gotta
I almost
figure
sewed
out
that
which
in.
ones were which because unlike Tiffany, I did not
Keep
label
yours
everything.
marked. Yeah.
Oh, I think this is
You'll
it.
see it. It's like it creates a log cabin unit. So your TT, the longer one is underneath the AA unit, which is a shorter one, and your NN with background with CC unit is the side. It creates like a log cabin.
Okay, so I do see one small issue with the template. Um, my my block is a little bit
No,
bigger.
no, it's not going to be.
No,
You're going to
no,
see the bottom one underneath first because it's the same size.
no, it's
Is that
not.
what not? Oh,
No,
yeah,
no.
that bottom one should be the same width. It's
Yeah,
supposed to be like, what did I say? 11.5 by 9.5
yeah.
once it's fully cut.
So
Yeah.
mine is literally the one underneath is, oh, okay. So the template's just too big. That's an easy fix because it's 12 inches instead of 11 and a half. You know how I fixed that? I just cut a 1/2 inch off.
Yeah.
My piecing was good. My template was a 1/2 inch too big. So I got to fix that. Boom. Let me make sure that it's right this way too. You said 9.5?
Yeah, 9.5 by 11.5.
Yep. I need, if before I put this template on my website, I just need to adjust the template size down a 1/2 inch.
Yeah.
I know, and I know exactly why it did that because I didn't put the finished size in the block. I put the other side. Or you can leave the template the way it is, and you can just actually cut on the inner line all the way around, which is the,
Instead of the outer line. Yeah.
yep, yep, yep. Look at me thinking on the fly, problem solving.
Yep.
All right, let's go.
So once you have that one on there, I'll let you get that one on there.
I know where we're going next. I had it laid out. So if you want to jump ahead and
Yeah.
keep showing them, I'll catch up.
So once that piece is on there, then you're going to take the side one like a log cabin. This one doesn't fit. So you have to put this one on here first. So your NN and CC unit are next. So you're going to put that on this side, right sides together. So your 1/4 inch.
Oh, I don't need 1.2 anymore.
Huh?
I had my stitch length count at like 1.0. I was like, oh, I don't
Oh,
need that anymore. Let's fix that. Jean says Tiffany is using one of those arrow sign here post notes, but I don't think she really wants you to sign.
nope. They're just little exactly sign here post-it notes that you would find on your divorce paperwork because your husband caught you buying a ton of fabric that you didn't need. All right. Sorry. I don't
You're
know.
nut. Uh-oh. Oh, right. You said do the side.
Yep.
Log cabiny. You said log cabiny. I started freaking out, and then I remembered Tiffany said log cabiny.
Yep.
That's
And
an
then
official quilty term.
your titty goes underneath on the bottom. right sides together. So it goes under the AA and QQ unit, your TT and Z, right sides together. And so that 1/4 of an inch seam. And honestly, it doesn't matter which way you press them. I'm just
no.
pressing them out and away from.
Oh
Did
my
you put
goodness.
one backwards?
No, I just keep grabbing the wrong spot. I keep grabbing I keep grabbing Q to put where T is.
Oh, yeah,
Ah,
definitely. If anybody else is doing this, mark all your pieces and keep them marked. So if you have your
yep,
pin in it, keep your pin in it. Or
yeah.
remove the pin to press and then put your pin back in,
I,
exactly in that spot. And you don't have to have it like me where the marker is on each unit. You can just make sure that, you still know where W is and keep your units marked, like if it's only WW on its own, then keep the thing on the, you know what I mean? On that part of the unit.
okay, you come back when you're done. Jason says hello, everybody.
Tell Jason I said hi. Hi, Jason. Oh, he hears me
And
though.
he's going to let the dogs out and he'll be back in. He just walked in with a soda, so he's back from dropping Justice off, which actually is a little bit early. Normally, when he drops Justice off, he's not back until 3:30, 4 o'clock, and he pulled up like 1 my time. So like half an hour, 45 minutes ago, he pulled up the driveway. I was like, okay, must be no traffic because of the snow. Everybody's probably staying inside.
Probably.
So he'll probably be in here with us for a little bit. He can make fun of the QQ and the TT.
Yeah.
My machine keeps coming unthreaded, Tiff.
Do you keep sliding next to it, or is it just because
Yeah.
it's made a shorter tail?
No, it's not the shorter tail. I think it's because I'm sliding back and forth so much.
Yep, mine does that. When I come visit, I will adjust it for you. So
Oh,
it
when
has
you
a
come,
longer tail.
yeah, that would be great. And also, I'm really excited, guys, because when Tiffany comes, we're taking Bubba completely apart and servicing him. She's going to show
Yep.
me how to do it myself. I'm so excited.
It's very simple. It's a very simple procedure.
He's going under.
Yeah.
I think I've done like I've done some things with it, but I'm really excited to be able to do all of the things. Hello, Lorlyn. If hubby says you have too much fabric, he's the wrong man. Very
Exactly.
quilts.
I just thought it was funny to say what I said because, I'm a little sarcastic and funny at the same time.
I know, I love it. That's why we get along so well. Can I
Yeah,
tell them
they see that they see what they're seeing on camera right now, but just wait until we're in person because it's even better.
That's so great. So somebody on Friday Night Live said, well, first of all, Tiffany, Ian, and I think Donna's going to have them too. We all have little swag. Tiffany, I'll talk to you about it offline because I already took care of you. But we all have little swag, like little stickers. Each of us have different stickers that we're going to be carrying with us at QuiltCon. And the only way you're going to get, there are a limited number of them. So when we run out, we run out. But each one of us has a different one. And the only way you get one of those stickers is if you tell us you follow us on YouTube, and then we'll give you a sticker. It's going to be a
Yeah.
lot of fun. So, okay, look,
Your unit
here's
done?
here's my magical horn. It does not look like a horn right now. I'm not sure what it looks like,
It looks
but
like
it looks
a
like yours.
lightsaber of some sort coming off of a hand
What
pinched
does this
around it.
look like? What does this look like?
Shooting star? I don't know.
Okay. What if I do this? What does that look like?
A unicorn.
It's gonna work.
Well, that's the next step now is to hook the unicorn head to that top piece.
Yes, ma'am. How was your drive, Jay?
Oh, it's fine. A little bit of traffic on the way back. I got up to Ride down.
Heads up.
Oh, why
There.
am I getting this?
Because now people can hear you.
I have nothing worse with hearing.
Yeah, but otherwise I'll have to repeat it. And I'm lazy and don't like to just repeat people. So put it on.
Yes, ma'am. Now they're going to hear me eat this granola bar.
Well, you can take it off while you eat the granola bar if you really desire. I haven't even ate
Yeah,
anything.
you're gonna start making me hungry because I haven't had my lunch yet.
I haven't had breakfast. I've just been sipping on coffee and water. I made a whole pot of coffee and I've only drank half a cup.
I know you do that quite often.
I know.
I'll go out there often. I'll say, well, who made this whole pot of coffee and just let it sit?
But every time I do that, I always think about the story you told me. So Jason's dad retired from the military and then retired from like 2 other places, but he never wanted to stop working. So in his retirement, he used to work at odd jobs. And one of the places he worked at was a gas station. You want to tell him what he said about the coffee?
He just said, at a convenience store buys so much coffee in bulk, it's so cheap. If they sell 1 cup of coffee, they make up for any amount of pots of coffee they throw out that day, because they always have fresh coffee. So every hour they throw out the coffee if it didn't get drank. So, but if they sell 1 cup, they broke even.
So I made a pot, I drank a cup, we broke even.
Did you hear the part where I said buy in bulk? And I see, you left out a whole step. Now, if I was like 7-Eleven, your pot of coffee would not mean anything to me. But I'm Jason Shiflett, who buys the coffee from the store at retail price that you make a pot of and then leave and let set.
I don't leave. Every time I walk by, I say, stay warm so it stays on. And then I have more sometimes. But actually, the past few weeks, it's been, I bring a cup in here, and then the next morning when I come in, that half a cup is left over from the previous morning because I'm not finishing it. I drink more water than anything else. Tiffany, my point matched with me just winging it. Look, I'm so proud. Woo.
I didn't even pay attention to the point. I forgot all about it. But it matched because it was the same size. So,
Or say bookends.
all right, you ready for the next step?
Yeah. So Tiffany, when we were doing this, I didn't have the horn on it yet. I just had this. And I was like, she's like, now put it up in front of your face and make noises. I was like, are you saying I have a horse face?
But I didn't. I said you were magical.
While the long face, Becca.
Oh, look at him coming up with jokes. Hey, is Scott in the room?
Yeah, Scott's right here.
Great. We can make this
Say
the
hi to
husband
Jason.
show. Go ahead. Talk to Scott.
He's brushing his teeth. I don't think anyone wants to see that.
Granola sipping coffee. What's wrong with you?
All right.
What you listening?
Okay, let's go.
DD. So you got
D.
double D's and an F because you might have
I mean,
F's.
I do.
So get up your double D and your F.
Okay.
And then you're going to lay your double D horizontal, right? And then you're going to take your F and you're going to make sure that you have the right way of the seam. So you're going to like put it on sideways, backwards L, and make sure by looking at the pattern that you have it correct before you sew it. And I look like 5 times. I'm like, okay, yep, that's the right way. And then I sew it stitch and flip style again.
I
Go
gotta
back to a
find,
bunch of stitch and flip.
I need to find where this is. Oh, okay, I see. It's the ear. We're making the ear.
Yep.
Yep. Make that ear.
Just like, this isn't a stitch and flip. This is like the binding, right? We're doing it like binding.
Kind of hangs over a little bit, yes.
Yep.
Still stitch and flip technically, because you're still stitching and flipping. You just have to pay attention to the direction, because if you don't get that direction right, you're screwed up.
You're making another backwards L.
Yep, backwards L.
You get bored of your lion?
No, but we'll be working on the lion later today. I started the second to the last row last night, and okay, yeah, I did get a little bored. I needed a palette cleanser. So I'm putting a unicorn together, and then I will go back to the lion because my goal is to have the lion pieced by the end of this month. And I was talking to Ian. He's got a phenomenal quilter that does show quilting. I'm going to send it down to her. She's going to custom quilt it, and we're going to try to submit it to some shows. So I'm really excited about it. Mufasa. Ooh, do it again. I love that line. No? Okay. Okay.
I think it's weird.
G and S is next.
No.
So a G unit is your unicorn color, the white, and the S is the background.
G unit. G. And S for me is number 5. 8.
And now you're going to do that same thing where you lay it up and down in front of you and you check. We're going to do a backwards L again and make sure that that's the way it goes. So it's backwards L again in front of you at the bottom of it. And you're going to sew from the right middle of the G unit down to the bottom of the middle of the S unit, I guess is the direction. But just make sure in front of you, check it like 3 or 4 times and then sew it.
Yep. I've been laying them together and then like just folding it over to make sure that things are going in the direction I expect them to go.
That's what I do.
Then I test and I stitch. Yep. Okay. Oh my goodness. Both puppies are sitting at the door staring at me with a pathetic look that says, please, can I come in and play with all that mess?
Do they have any other looks?
No.
It's always pathetic.
It's always sad. It's always, you don't love me enough. Play with me more. Actually, I got smart today. I don't know if you saw this over here. I actually figured it out last night. So I took one of the footstools from over by those chairs and I brought it and set it next to me and put a little quilt on it. Because Beetlejuice always wants me to hold him when we're in here. He wants to sit on my lap. And I can't have him sit on my lap while I'm working. And Akumu wants me to constantly pet the top of his head. And I can't do this while I'm working. So I set the stool over here. They both came in and were completely happy just to sit on the stool next to me. And so I'd work, had him a little bit, work, had him a little bit more. Why didn't I do that like 6 months ago? Okay. I have these.
Okay, now we're going to go to VV and R and one of the B units because there's 3 Bs, I think, or 4, something like that.
Yep. There. Ow. Okay, who asked me if these pins were sharp? I can testify. They hurt. VV for me is number 8 of my main, which is pink. I get to work with pink this time. Oh, ow, ow, ow. And then S, which is 5 of my background. No, ow. Yes, 5 of my background. I feel like I used that already, though. Ow, goodness gracious.
It's VV, R, and B.
Oh, I was looking at S. R, it's number 4.
That's why I said it out loud because I heard you say S and I just needed to reiterate that it was a B, an R, and a VV.
Yep, got it.
Okay, so your where am I at? B goes on the top. It's a stitch and flip. It's complete square. You're just going to turn it into this angle right here. And then your bottom one is going to be the opposite angle.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Mackey.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Mackey.
Oops.
Mary made it to South Carolina. She's doing all the things to get started on her house today.
That's nice.
Yeah. Okay. So if that's going up there, this is going that same direction, almost like a flying geese.
Yeah, pretty much, but a elongated one.
Yeah, there's not going to be a point. There's going to be a plateau. Hey, you're on mic. You're giving our address out.
You're not doing like Discord thing?
No, this is Zoom or this is YouTube.
Oh.
We's on the UE of tubies. Gotta watch what you say.
Did you hear him when did you hear him?
I wasn't
He
paying
was
attention.
mumbling. Okay.
Yeah.
He was mumbling and I don't think the microphone's even on him.
No.
Okay. You probably didn't hear him.
Good. That way your what is it called? Stalkers can't show up at the door.
I don't think I have any, but I would like to keep it that way.
It's a joke. That's what I worried about when I first started the YouTube was,
Really?
when I always worried that someone was going to recognize me and be like, and then start, because they know where I live and start coming over all the time. And yeah.
Okay.
All right. So now you're going to take your G and your VV and hook those two together. Making sure that the white touches the white at the top and your background touches your background at the bottom.
What is this one? Oh, that's the ear. That's right.
That's going to go
gonna
above
go on
it
the
once
top.
those two are together.
Makes sense. I was wondering why I had 3 pieces because I didn't remember making it. We are almost done, but not even close. It feels like.
The rest of it, we just hook the bottom.
Yeah, this will like
And
the
then sew them together in strips. And then we're just going to stitch and flip a big, huge piece over it. So technically, it
we're
goes
getting
pretty
there.
quick.
Yeah. I think the detailed piece is pretty done. Like we're moving along, clipping along.
Yep.
Oh, most people said they didn't hear anything. So
Good. I'm going to press this unit real quick.
okay.
Small and skinny. And then once that's done, you're going to hook your DD and F unit on top of it. On the white side, make sure it's white touching white. Or unicorn head touching unicorn head.
Yes,
Whatever.
10-4, copy that. Bye, Kelly. See you later. Okay. Yep, that looks right. Okay.
And then once those two are together, you're going to grab your large chunk again of a unicorn face and you are going to attach it to the side of it. Making sure that your color is to the outer left side and your white is touching white. Obviously, that's kind of self-explanatory, 1/4 inch seam. And then all we have left to build is the main. Well, actually, we have to do the V and E unit real quick because that goes on the bottom of all this. And then there's a point to kind of try to match right here on the front. Just gonna make sure that it almost does or close to it at least.
Oh, I see. Under the chin.
Yeah.
The black down here. Think that'll do it? We'll find out. Moment of truth.
Mine matched. I've made enough of these. It should start matching, every time I make them. Honestly, each block, if we're not talking and showing anyone how to do it, it takes about an hour. per block,
Okay,
which isn't
did I
bad.
get it? Close enough. Close enough. We're going to leave it. Let's press this.
So far, I have a head.
Do you see? Does that look okay to you?
Yeah, it looks the same. Yeah.
Okay. It's off by just a little bit.
It's off by hair.
An eighth of an inch, the point is, but the edges line up just fine. So I'm just, if I press the seam the other way, it lines up a whole lot better. Actually, yeah, that's what we'll do. That's exactly what happened. It's that thing, right, where you put the bulk on the wrong side and it makes your point not work.
Mm.
Okay. Stephanie Snape said there's no snow here yet, but it is really cold. Ellen from Campbell's Creation says, oh, I paid the rent. Thank you guys for doing the thumbs up. And don't forget, if you want to buy this pattern, there is an affiliate link in the description
In
box
the
down
description
below.
below.
Yep. And if you want to get those pins that I'm using, there's an affiliate link for that too. The way it's worked out, Tiffany and I are both giving you each one affiliate link. The pattern is Tiffany's affiliate link. So if you buy the pattern using
It
that
helps
link,
me.
it'll help her. And if you buy the pins, if they're, I think they're out of stock right now at Fat Quarter Shop, but if you use that link to buy the pins, it'll help me. So that's how the purchases will work out.
Yeah, the block's getting kind of big for your little pressing area.
Well, if I were doing this off camera, I would be getting up and going over to my table. But
Yeah.
I just am in the habit of when I'm working on anything on a live stream or
Trying to do it right there in front of you so that they
yeah, I
could see
want you
how
to see exactly what I'm doing.
Yep.
You know, part of me feels like it would be smart for me to get a big, like an 18 by 24 piece of plywood and build that out. But then I got to deal with that every time I want to press something small. So
Yeah.
here we go.
All right, now we're gonna make the V and E unit for the bottom of it for
Okay.
that section. And then that whole side will be completely done. And all we have to work on is the main.
Okay. So V for me is number 8 of the black.
And then E is the unicorn color. So this is like the chest of the unicorn that we're building right here. The
Okay.
chest part. Or
Another
front
stitch.
part. I don't know what all the parts of a horse are called, but you know.
The neck.
And technically, this could be made into a horse for someone who has a kid that likes horses or something without the unicorn horn. Just put a
Yeah.
big chunk of the background fabric up there instead, and bam, it's a horse, you know,
Yep.
for anybody
Yep.
who has family who likes horses.
And that would actually be even easier because like O, R, and U would all be one chunk because you're not doing the flange at the bottom.
Yeah.
3 of the strips, you could just be one big strip. Or you can get like, if you wanted it to be like a white horse with maybe like some cream colored mane, you could patchwork the mane in different creams.
Yeah.
Okay. I think my daughter's awake. Okay. And then we're going to put this onto the bottom.
Yep. Making sure that the white or your horse or your unicorn is the white part is on the side that your first amount of main is.
Yep.
On your left-hand side. I can't believe I'm doing this all without a seam guide. Like, woof, it's
I'm proud of
actually
you.
working.
Good for you.
Definitely not perfect, but at least it's like sort of nice.
Consistent.
I could definitely see the waviness.
I
I don't
don't
know how
use
to
a
control that though.
maybe pressing every step of the way.
At that point even matched, and I didn't even intend. They just matched perfectly.
Oh my gosh,
like
is there a
supposed
point?
to.
That
Yeah,
point
right at
matched
the end.
ish.
I didn't even line it up and it matches because the seams are pressed. I pressed them to where they nested. So I didn't even have to line it up. As soon as you hold it that way, it lines right up. So this whole section now is done. Now let's build the main. See how big this block is going to be though? Just by
Yep.
this section alone. I mean, that's half my body. That goes from my neck all the way past my hips.
Well, you're also short, so.
Well, yeah, okay. All right, so I'm just going to fold this out of the way because now we're going to hook our pieces to each one of those main bottoms. So I'm just going to hold the chart up so that they can see. We're going to go and start hooking all of these on the bottom, paying attention
Snowball.
to where each one is. So I actually, right here on my table, I have it all laid out from II all the way. So it goes II to MM, and I have them, or PP, sorry. And then I have it laid out, and then I'm just going to attach each piece to the bottom in the direction that it says. So instead of like walking through each one, because they're all going to be different, they're all shaped differently, we'll just line it out and put them on.
Okay. I'm going to snowball all of the pieces of my main too. So I'm going to start with II, which
That's
is.
what I do from the left in.
Just gotta, I
So
think
I gets a C.
Let me lay them out so that they're
That's
organized.
what I do.
And then it'll
S,
be
T.
LL, and then it'll be OO, which is number 1, and then RR, which is number 2. There. Wait. RR is number 4. What am I doing? There we go. I was going to say, shouldn't be yellow to yellow. And then UU is number 7. And then JJ, goodness, is J, purple.
And 3 of the strips don't get anything on the bottom. 3 of them are just solid strips.
5. M. This green P is 2. And then where does this H go? Oh, this was what I was going to use for the nostril if I wanted the nostril to be that teal color, and I decided not to. So now I need all these little white pieces because this is what's going to go on the bottom. And these are backgrounds that are going to be used to finish everything out. All right. This is lined up just like you have it, Tiff. I have my main lined up.
And I'm pressing everything because my fabrics are really dark. I'm pressing all of these white pieces that I'm adding, the unicorn pieces. I'm pressing them all towards the dark.
Okay.
So up.
So I'm going to do a C there, a B here, skip 3, put a C, B here, another C, a D, and another C. Great. Now, since all of these are laid out the way that they're going to go together in the strip set, I can just snowball each one and then put it back. Nope, wrong way.
Yep, that's what I'm doing. Just you do the ends on each of them and then put them back where they were.
Okay. And then let me make sure I've got this oriented the right way again. Yep, okay, good.
It's actually kind of easy because all the C's, the direction exactly the same when they hook to their blocks, and all
Oh.
the B's go the same way, and the D goes the direction of the B's.
Okay. I do have a bit of a decision to make because these are ombre. Like, where do I want the most color? So I'm going to make it a little staggered.
I'd stagger it, the color.
Yeah, sometimes I want the dark to be at the top, sometimes I want it to be at the bottom. I don't want it to always go light to dark. I want it to feel a little bit more scrappy. Woo woo. Okay. Ah, I messed it up. See? See? I did it the wrong direction.
Oh yeah, I like to just sit it here and play with it, looking at the chart and go, oh yeah, this is the correct direction.
I did. And then as soon as I picked it up and carried it to my machine, which
You
is
sew it
why,
wrong.
like, after I sew it on, I'm not immediately cutting. I'm laying it down and then folding it over to make sure that I did it the right way. Because I am angrily challenged and I will get it mixed up.
I mixed up my first one, the first block I made a few times in the
Oh,
same block. So no worries. This is your first time. You're doing exactly what I did. Couple
bob
little
and
mistakes.
break. I ain't sewing anything without any bobbin thread. Oh, I have bobbin thread. Why did it not sew then? It might have just been that it was too short. That happens too. My automatic thread cutter sometimes cuts the bobbin too short, and then
Oh,
when that happens, it won't stitch.
it won't catch. Yeah.
Yep. So you'll have to pull the bobbin out, pull off a.
Make it long again.
That still didn't catch. What the heck? Okay. Let's see. Try it one more time. What? It's not coming. There we go.
Is your top thread threaded?
Yeah, it is. Okay. Try this again. No, wait. Wrong way. Just gonna see
Yes,
if
Stephanie Thumper is most likely in bed, sleeping, hiding in his little cave.
there we go. I was able to pull up the bobbin thread this time, so let's see if we actually can stitch. It just cut my top thread. Like, it literally, my top thread literally just broke.
Interesting.
No, not really. It's just annoying. Try it again. Tiffany will have the block done. I'll still be trying to put this dog ear on.
Well, I'll just say it out loud while she's doing those. The next step is sewing all these strips together except for PP. Leave PP out of it for a minute. Okay?
Okay.
It doesn't go in the toilet yet. You got to put the other pieces together first.
Pee pee in the toilet. Oh,
So it's just like making a giant strip piece unit. And this is where I'm going to go fast and use a seam guide because I don't really want to pay attention to where I'm going to land. The guide will keep it right.
yay, it's stitched.
Miracles do happen.
Okay. Okay, there's that one. All of these go up here. Jody says, thank you, Becca and Tiffany, for demonstrating 2 different ways to do the main.
Yes.
And then this is gonna, oh, no, that's not on that one. We skip 3, 1, 2, 3. And then we do C. No, we do B. No, 1, 2, 3. B, C, C, D. B, C, C. Okay, cool. All right, so that's going to be light at the top. This one's going to be dark at the top. This one's going to be dark at the bottom. So this one means the dark's going to be at the top. So I'm going to snowball the light end. And we're going to do it this way. Cool. Just like that. Perfect. Now I want the dark at the bottom on this one. We're going to snowball this way. Almost done. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're just building out his hair or her hair. It's Lisa, so technically, I guess a girl. That's the name of the pattern.
Be a
I said the
boy.
unicorn.
Don't misgender.
It could be a they or a them, I guess.
I guess. Or maybe you named a boy Lisa. Whatever. I actually had a boy that I was in 3rd grade with. His name was Kelly, and I had never met a boy named Kelly before.
I have.
And now as like an adult, I've met several, but at that time, to me, Kelly was such a girl's name, and I was like, your name's Kelly? It was weird to me, but not anymore.
I went to school with a guy, Dana.
Really?
Named Dana.
Dana Carvey?
I've known 2 Danas that were boys.
Really?
Mm-hmm. It was like very popular, I guess, in the 80s when I was, born.
You were born in the 80s? You were born in the 80s.
I was
Oh
born
my
in
God.
80, exactly 80.
That's right. That's right. I always forget that you're a couple years younger than me.
Yeah. And then Ian is a couple years younger than us.
Oh, he's several years younger than us. He, so I was born 77, Tiff was born in 80, and Ian was born in 86. Jason's looking at me like, that's interesting. Okay. These things, here they are. I'm not going to bother coming in with my rotary cutter to trim. I'm just going to cut with my scissors.
That's what I did with my
laid
little
out.
one.
Yeah. I can't be bothered to mess it up because I would. I don't know if Ian's still watching, but if he is, and I will text him later with this, I think because Ian wasn't here to show us his demonstration for how the fabric would be cut on the Cricut, I think he should do a separate standalone video to show us how he did that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you don't want to cut a million pieces to make a quilt. And if you could tell the Cricut to cut it for you.
I thought Cricut was for other things. I didn't even know it was for cutting fabric. I thought it was for vinyl cutting and stuff like that.
Well, it is, but you can buy a fabric blade that allows it to cut. It's like a mini rotary cutter that will cut the fabric.
Oh,
I know.
interesting.
Mind blown.
Well, I don't have one of those and I don't plan on. I just cut my own thing. But it is nifty. Pretty sure they have all these sizes on AccuQuilt too. So AccuQuilt could probably do all your pieces on that first too. Use your AccuQuilt to cut them.
That's what Mary and I were talking about earlier, is using the AccuQuilt to cut these, but you would have to have a ridiculous amount of dies for this. And out of it, you would only be getting one piece for just about everything that you're doing. So if you were going to invest in the AccuQuilt dies for this pattern, then it would be better to make up a bunch of pre-cut kits. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because why would you spend, I mean, if every die is like 30, 40 and up, sometimes they're even more expensive than that. You better be making this a bunch of times.
All right. While you're still sewing that, I'm going to do the next step.
Okay. Dog ear.
I have the camera facing down. So we're going to take the FF unit, that big square, because we don't have PP connected. That's separate still. So we have everything but the PP connected to it.
Oh, I
We're going
see.
to take
Okay.
that FF, and that fits on there perfectly as a square, like whatever.
Half square triangle.
And we're going to, half square triangle. That's the word I was looking for. And we're going to cut, or we're going to draw a line from corner to corner, and we're going to sew on that line. And then, but because this is a long seam and my seam tape doesn't cover this length, I'm going to be sewing on that line that I have drawn. And this I did come back because it's such a big piece and stitch a half an inch away. Because this one gives a nice string piece, pretty much a square triangle. Now I have 5 of them, but I only need 4 to make a quilt. See? So you get this from your leftover piece. Just make something out of that later on. And then I'm going to go and press this towards my background.
Sorry, Jason left the room and Zoe entered the room to raid my snack basket.
And poke at you?
And poke at me. Yeah, you saw that, but nobody else did because I had you pinned.
Oh.
She's not a fan of being in front of the camera.
I noticed. All these years, I've noticed.
Okay.
I'm just watching you.
That's fine. I know I'm a little slow.
It's okay.
I'm not apologizing for it. I'm
Okay.
just letting you know I'm aware.
And that's why you want me to use a hand crank when I come to visit and we
Heck
race.
yeah. You're gonna
Because
like,
I'm 20
yep,
steps ahead of you.
it's fine.
I noticed that
That's fine.
because I was incognito watching Donna the other day, because sometimes I don't chat, which and she was like already done, and you were
Yep.
like, hello, how did that, wait, where's that piece? Well, you already finished? She's like, oh yeah. She has an even more advantage though, because now she's using the Juki Industrial, which is even faster than our TL 2010 Qs.
Yep. Guess what? I ran out of bobbin.
Well, put a bobbin in there, baby. I'll just put myself back up here again.
Mary said, you two are my kids' ages.
We're a lot of people's kids' ages is here. Nothing wrong with that.
Nope. I think
see.
I am the youngest one, I think, at the retreat I go to in July. But maybe that'll change this year because I think one of the ladies is bringing her daughter, and her daughter's younger than I am.
Lily says, but back to those names of boys having girls' names.
Uh-huh.
Her brother's name is Valerie.
Oh, wow.
In Europe, it's both boy and girl name, but in the US, you get addressed to Miss Valerie, blah, blah, blah. You know,
Oh,
it's
geez.
crazy. Yeah, there's a lot of names that are boy and girl. Yeah, I've met a Stacy named man too, Janine.
Me too.
Stacy and Kelly. Although my Aunt Kelly is a girl, so and hers is spelled the same way as it would be if it was a boy's name. Because you can have Kelly, Kelley, or Kellie.
Jamie's another one that's boy or girl.
Yeah. Yep. I only had one Jamie guy friend, but I had two Jamie girlfriends.
It's snowing again, Tiff. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm going to keep watching the weather because by the time I'm supposed to come out there, I'm going to make sure a week in advance what I know that weather is going to be like, so I know how to
Listen,
pack.
you just pack for being cold no matter what.
Yeah, but I don't want to be too cold. Like when we go into buildings and stuff, I don't have to take off 10 layers and walk around with all my jackets trying to keep me warm when inside the building. It's not going to be that bad, you know?
Yeah, but I think everybody out here, their version of warm, you're still going to want a light layer.
Yeah.
Why? Why? Why?
Who knows? It's happening.
The Didn't have a big enough tail off the bobbin. That happens like,
Instead of using the thread cutter, just pull away. You
well,
know,
I
lift your
know,
foot and
but
pull
it
away.
always I keep forgetting to do this. When I put a new bobbin in, I need to pull the bobbin thread up
Yeah.
before I
To
stitch.
start.
Otherwise, it won't grab it, no matter how long it is. And I don't know why.
Mine does.
Did you see Candace's message in the chat?
Candace.
She said, Jelly Roll race with Tiff on hand crank against Becca on
Oh,
Juki. Who would win?
yeah. Yeah. I don't know if
I
my hand cranking is that fast though. That might wear me out so quick. I'd probably be halfway through the first just hooking a one jelly roll strip to another. I'd be like, uh.
I actually don't think that that would be fair.
The foot one, like a foot one, a treadle, I could probably do that and
Well,
make that go fast,
I have a
but only for
treadle, but
so
there's no
long.
machine.
Kate says, Tiffany, get yourself some silk loungewear, top and bottoms, great for that perfect layer next to your skin. Well, I have blah, 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 blah. I forgot what it's called. That you wear long johns. I have long johns.
Okay, I am leaving my PP alone. I'm putting the last one on, and then I'm going to stitch and flip.
Okay, well then while you're doing that, I'll show the next one. We're going to take PP and hook it to the unit.
Go do that.
Huh?
Go do
Yeah.
that, and I will catch up. All right. Which way did you press your seams?
I just pressed them all the same direction. Doesn't matter which way, as long as they all went the same way to make it easier, less bulk, I guess, if it all just goes one way.
Yep.
And then once that is done, so I'll let you do that. I'm just going to keep going. This
Keep going.
last EE piece is going to go on top of the black. So EE will be right here, and then the whole unit will be below it like this.
Mhm.
The right sides together. This is where you get hooraying because there's only one seam after this one, and it's a long seam.
I like long seams. They're fun.
Well, the last and final seam is taking the one half and taking the other half and putting them right sides together and sewing them into the giant block.
Woo woo.
So that's the last and final seam. I'm gonna go ahead and sew mine while you catch up with all yours. And there's only one seam right here to nest, which, I mean, it's not really nesting, it's just making sure that you're hitting it at the 1/4 inch mark so that it like lines up just right.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, really, it's just one seam to pay attention to. And it's not like a horribly super need to pay attention, because if it's not right, it's okay. When they're exactly the same length, though, you know, but when everything's together, obviously, I think they would just naturally line up without even having to pay attention to it, you know?
Mm-hmm. All right.
Oh, I finally ran out of bobbin. Go sewing. I finally ran out of bobbin now.
Good. Give me time to catch up.
Well, I already I had pre-rolled one to make sure that I had enough for one block. But that wasn't a full bobbin that I had in there. I'm surprised it lasted that long because I did a lot of sewing the last few days. And yesterday, especially when I put that rest of my quilt together.
There's my bonus half square triangle.
Yep.
Okay. Now I gotta press this, put P on, put E on the top, and then join it to the other side. So 3 more seams. Wait, 1, 2 more seams. No,
Yeah,
3
you
more
gotta put the make sure to hook your PP on there first. And then it always sounds so weird when we say these parts out loud.
It does.
Some of the letter combos just, you know, aren't meant for keeping without a chuckle while you're saying it out loud, teaching it.
All right. There we go.
Before I press my really long seam, I'm going to make sure that that lined, whatever, I'm going to leave it. It didn't line up perfectly, but I don't care because it's my wall hanging. And then when you press this really long one, you want to press it towards the main because of there's a seam at that bottom that is a point, and you don't want that in the way.
Hello, Deborah Davidson. Bambi House says, Tiffany, I watched your video on sorting and organizing your fabric. I bought 200 comic boards from online. I thought that it was going to be plenty, and I'm only in my first cabinet, and I'm already up to 100.
Yeah, you don't realize until you buy those. You think you look at your fabric when it's thrown in drawers or folded in cabinets or whatever, and you're like, really? I only need like 200 magazine boards. And then you go to start bolting it up and you realize you have way more fabric than you thought because you used 200 just in the first drawer.
Yep. Yep. I started
Because
using
I've gone through a lot.
I started using the comic book boards a while ago, and I the same thing. I was like, oh, I just need like 200, and I was shocked when I got through that 200 and still had fabric left over. So I keep I've got several. I've got a few hundred of comic boards just sitting on my shelf because they also do tend to wear out over time. It takes a lot. I'll reuse them, but sometimes they get a little nasty, a little creased, a little folded and stuff.
Mhm.
Or if I have fabric on my shelf why did I just do that line? I wanted to do the other one. If I have fabric on my shelf that I am destashing, I'll leave the comic book board in there a lot of the times. I don't take it out, so I keep a stash on hand. Yeah. And the other thing that I've done, Moda sells these, they call them bolt buddies. You've probably seen them in your local quilt shop. They are these metallic clips, and I put them on my little mini bolts to keep the fabric neatly folded in on itself. They're a
Mhm.
little pricey, and you can only buy them if you have a Moda wholesale account. So your local quilt shop could probably order them for you. I'm on camera, you know that, right? Okay.
Hi,
Okay.
Zoe.
Startled me. I about jumped.
I could have told you
Almost-
she was back there, but I kind of wanted to see what she was going to do.
She's being a brat. And by the time everybody starts saying hi to her, she's gone.
Yeah.
All right. So your local quilt shop could order them for you too, but you can also do the same thing with plastic alligator clips. I just find with those plastic alligator clips, they break really easy. Okay.
Uh,
We're doing on top EE, and then we're just joining the two pieces, right?
Yep.
I'm almost done. I'm in the home stretch.
That's why I've waited to hold mine up because I wanted us to hold ours up together.
I appreciate that. That's so kind.
Yep, mine's a secret until, well, obviously it's not because it's the same as the ones behind me.
Well, why don't so that people can get a really good look at yours, why don't I spotlight you while I do my last seam? I'll do it on mute and you can show off your block.
Well, I'll just show off the whole big quilt. How about that? And then I'll show my block in a minute. I got to figure this out real quick. Can I turn the camera angle? I'm going to stare at this funny real quick. There's no flip. Oh, there it is right there. There we go, guys. Take a look at the giant. Well, it's not giant. It is kind of big though, because these blocks are huge. The unicorns. And see, my border fabric matched so perfectly. It's rainbow to go with the rainbow assortment of color. And I took all my leftover pieces from the 2.5-inch strips because I made my own jelly roll for this and put them around it as a border, as one of the borders. Because it has you stop at this border right here, this first border. And I was like, nope, I need mine bigger. So that's what it looks like. Unquilted, of course. But the assortment of color is beautiful. Because I think it is. All right, now we got to figure out how to turn this back around. Right there. Put you back in the holder. Ta-da! So the mine with borders, the small quilt version is 77 by 77.
I just sewed my last seam and I'm going to give it a good press and then I'll hold mine up and show you guys my block. And
Well,
I don't have I don't have four altogether, but this actually was kind of fun to put together. And I would not mind doing 3 more, 8 more, whatever. the biggest part is just all that cutting.
Yeah, there's a
But
lot of cutting.
yeah, like
And
the cut.
one block. So if you do just the one that says pillowcase, it looks like there's different cuts. Because the one block on its own is 20, if I just did one block on its own, comes out to 26.5 inches square. And it says on the pattern for a single block, and this is why I cut all mine for the big block one. The single one is 26 by 26 inch. Oh, okay. It's the same, but those first numbers are not. All the cutting numbers are different.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it's using different cuts for a smaller one. So I don't know why they just don't make it all the same. Because it comes out the same. Yeah, they're different sizes. So that's weird because it comes out the same size per block.
I've got some bulk I'm trying to deal with right here. I just want to get this one
Oh,
spot
yeah.
to be.
Press it, that one right there where those two come together, press it towards the whatchamacallit piece. Towards the main. Yep,
Yeah,
towards PP.
I did not do that, so I'm going through and fixing that seam.
Connie asked me if my quilt hanging by itself on the flat. It's on batting, cotton batting is what's on the wall for me to put my stuff on.
That's
Kind
your
of
like.
looks tacky up there. When I finally do the design board, I'm gonna make a nice square thing for it to sit in, you know. That way it doesn't look tacky.
I had an idea for a design board. I don't want to give up my wall space for it, but I do think it would be kind of genius. If you took some sheet metal, some galvanized sheet metal, and you made some fabric with some batting on the inside. So you make it like an envelope, fabric and batting on both sides, and put the sheet metal down into it. So you have like a sheath for it, and then just stitch across the top and hang that up. You could make panels of it and put them on the wall side by side. And then you can put pins into it just like you normally would, but also you can use magnets. So if you're trying to hang up like an FPP pattern, like legit kit, and you want to see the fabric and not the pattern, you want to see the finished quilt, you could do that. Because the
Yeah,
paper doesn't stick to the batting, but you could put it up with a magnet.
yeah, that's a good idea.
I just don't, I know exactly how I would do it. I just don't want to keep the finished product because that would mean sacrificing wall space and I'm not interested.
Yeah. Well, I made the space with the shelves like this purposely to do this. I should have thought about it better though, because I make a lot of big, huge quilts, and this quilt is too big for that space already. I made it only 72 inches, so I should have thought about that when I laid it out. But I mean, I'm technically supposed to teach quilts of all size, so not just king.
I
So
haven't, go ahead. Okay, I'm done. I think I have been trying to think of ways to put up some sort of a backdrop back here so that when I'm showing a quilt or teaching something, I can show you a design wall back there. What I've been using are the extra large binder clips that you get in an office supply store and just clipping whatever I want on front of the shelves. So
yeah.
this block, which
Oh, look at how
is cute,
pretty. You should make yourself big.
I will. Hold on. There we go. There.
Look
So
at
this is
that.
the
I
finished
love
one.
it. I like that you made the ombre go, you know, dark to light, light to dark.
Mm-hmm. It's there we go. So the neat thing about this is it feels very, very scrappy. It feels like it has that night sky. I need to find, like, I want a whole bolt of this fabric. Unfortunately, I think it's out of print. They don't make it anymore. So I got to find somebody that's willing to sell it on Etsy at a decent price. which I will. I'll get some more of that. I love that fabric. It's great for a background. I need another clip. So I've been using these big clips to hang stuff up behind me, and it's been working. I guess I could still use something. I would love to use like that magnetic design board that I talked to you about. I would
Yeah.
love to have that up back there, but I just don't know. I don't know how I would hang it. I think I would have to build some sort of a hook system and
Or
attach
you can
it.
build it as in doors on the cabinets.
Oh, that's
Or
smart.
sliding doors. Have Jason put a slider across your top half and have it so you can slide them out of the way and off camera, and then slide them over. Just put a track across the top. Like kind of
You
like
could,
Jean Truelove's old room had the ladder that ran across the top. You could just do like a slide bar with the whatchamacallit style door,
the only problem with that is if you did a barn door, the door stays the same size, right? And so if I want it to be big, I have to build it big because it'll always stay the same size. But what if we built a track up at the top and you do an accordion door?
You could do that too.
That would be cool.
Metal.
And it doesn't even have to be metal.
Yeah.
Like if I just did like an accordion fold door, like you do for a closet, that'd be neat. I bet we could do that. And it could hitch right up to the top. And then I
And
could
to
have it
slide
all
it
go
one
down
way
there.
when it's not in use.
Yep. I like that. I'll have to think about that. But anyway, that's my block.
Yay! Guess what, Becca?
People were asking if there is a pattern specifically, Jackie. Yes, there is. It is in the description box down below. You just click little read more at the bottom of this video.
And it looks like
And
this, the actual paper pattern.
yep, it is the actual physical paper pattern. We do have 2 affiliate links for you if you're going to do some shopping, you want to help support us financially. The first one is the link for the pattern. That, if you buy that pattern, will help Tiffany. She will get a little commission off of it. And if you are looking for the pins that I was using today, I'll show you again what those look like in case you weren't here. This is an affiliate link at Fat Quarter Shop for me, and that will help me out. I do think these are out of stock at Fat Quarter Shop, but I'm sure they're going to get some more in very quickly. All these are is little pins that have letters and numbers on them, and they come in this really nice storage case. So you always know what you have, where it's at. You don't have to worry about any of that. So, all right, Tiff.
Guess what, Becca?
What?
We completed something while
I
on a
know.
live stream.
Yes, we did. We started and finished on a live stream. How long? And it was only 3 hours. Not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Nope. Just let everybody know, though, it only takes about an hour. If you consistently work at it the whole entire, it takes about 1 hour to piece one block.
Yeah, we did do a lot of stopping and talking and instruction and demonstration. So for us, it always takes a little bit longer to do something, but it's totally doable. I will say cutting for me, I don't know about you, Tiffany, but it took me probably about a good solid hour and a half or 2 hours just to cut everything for one block. Now I probably could have cut out if I were making multiple, I could have still gotten, I think I would have added another hour probably to make enough for the whole quilt, but it does take a minute to starch and cut all this
Well,
fabric. So
I cut out 5 blocks worth, 5, unicorns worth, and it took me about 2.5 hours total.
that seems about right. Because it
Yeah,
took me
because I had to do math at the same time. I need 5 more pieces because I did an extra. The pattern gives you the number amount for 4, but I had to add, 3 more B because it needed 3 more backgrounds for that specific unit, or you know what I mean? So I had to,
Yep.
make sure that I got it correctly.
Yep.
And I also do suggest, like we said in the beginning, instead of using a jelly roll strip, because you're wasting 3/4 of an inch of fabric cutting off of jelly rolls. I mean, that's a waste. To me, a jelly roll is expensive. It actually costs more than buying just a couple pieces of, 1/4 yard cuts of fabric. I would say go buy some 1/4 yard cuts of like 7 or 8 different colors, and then obviously the amount for the background. But I definitely would not suggest using jelly roll strips to use on the unicorn for the main.
Yep. I would agree with that. Like it could, I mean, I was going to say you could just use a honey bun, but you can't because some of the pieces are bigger than a honey bun.
Yeah.
So,
Yep, they are.
all right, I
Well,
am
I'm
going.
gonna
We are both
let
going to say the same thing.
get going.
Go me.
Exactly. Great minds think alike. That's what Scott always says.
Thank you, friends, so much for hanging out with both of us. I'm sure you guys already know who Tiffany is, but just in case you don't, her channel link is in the description box, but down below, make sure to click on that, hop over, check out her channel. She does live streams every Sunday night at it's 5 o'clock
p.m.
Arizona time. 5 o'clock Arizona time. So that would be an awesome way to support her, but I'm sure you guys are already over there and subscribed anyway. So thank you. And if you're
Yeah.
here and not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Click it.
Yep. Don't forget to subscribe.
Yep. All right, friends. We'll see you guys all later.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.